I 29M can't seem to forgive my sister 26F after she completely bailed on me when I was on the brink of being homeless. My sister from a young age has had only one person to rely on, and that person was me. We come from a broken family with one parent. That was only around till I was 5 and the other who was stuck in a cycle of addiction. Because of our situation, I grew up very quickly and shielded her from as much as I could. She obviously was aware of what was going on, but she was not in the crosshair. I started with stealing from our mother to make sure we had food and bills were paid. I got a part-time job at 13 because we couldn't rely on our mother, and when I graduated, I immediately got 2 jobs and we moved out. I had to push my sister through high school. She wasn't an easy teen for obvious reasons, on top of going month to month, trying to get as much money together to pay our bills. At 19, she finally graduated after being held back a year. She changed her tune a lot, and she started working as well and had her own place when she was 21. I finally got a shot to do something for myself, and got a degree. As a result, I got a much better job, but unfortunately that was right before the pandemic hit. So I pretty much went from hired to fired as I was a new hire. Now the reason I am saying all that is not to pat myself on the back, but to stress why my reaction is the way it is. I was out of work, on the brink of losing my apartment, and only had one person who I expected I could turn to, my sister. She was recently married, lived still lives obviously with her husband, so I asked if I could stay a few weeks, at most a few months, until I got a new job. It was a no. I was taken aback, but it remained to be a no. A week or 2 later, I was kicked out of my apartment. I asked again, and it was a no. At this point, I am homeless, and the only reason I didn't end up sleeping on the damn street was because I could crash at a few friends until I got a temporary job. I rented a room with a bunch of roommates for a while, eventually got a job in my field again, and am now doing fine. That said, I have not spoken to my sister since. She has called, messaged, banged on my door, sent crying voice messages, apologized dozens of times, tried to explain herself, tried going to my job, tried going to friends, everything. I haven't said a word to her. It's been over a year now. She recently had a child, and she is still desperately trying to reach out. She claims her husband refused to let me stay. He even reached out several times to beg me to reach out, but to me, the one time I need her, she basically tells me to F myself. I feel like it was the last push I needed to just end that chapter of my life. I feel bad, but just not bad enough, I guess? Even my friends and my girlfriend are on my case that I should forgive her, and that they understood it at first but now think I am being an asshole. What would you guys do? Relevant comments. Commenter. 1. Tell your friends and girlfriend that only you get to decide when you're ready to talk to your sister, that it's not their place nor their business to try to force you into an interaction that you aren't emotionally ready for, and if they care about you at all, they will shut the fuck up and let you do things when you are ready to do them. I'd send your sister one message telling her that you aren't closing the door on ever having a relationship with her, but you need her to back off and give you the time and space to work through your feelings of betrayal, that you will reach out to her when and if you are ready to, and not a minute before, and the more she pushes, the less you want to be around her. Then get into counseling to work through your feelings. Decide how much of a relationship with her you can handle emotionally, and then proceed from there. If your girlfriend and friends keep pushing, then they are only doing so for their own selfish purposes, rather than out of concern for you, and you need to shut them down hard. Commenter 2. This is good advice. Some skeptical part of me is wondering why the sister wants OP back in her life now that she has a baby. Babysitting, defraying baby expenses, wanting OP to play the happy, generous uncle? If it was really guilt, she would have reached out earlier. And it seems like sister only reached out once OP was back on his feet. Edited to add, it could be that all of OP's sacrifices have led to her growing up to be very self-centered, because all along, she's never had to think of someone else. Commenter. 3. Your friends in GF need to back off when this isn't their situation. You decide what you want to do here. They have zero say in the matter. I completely get your anger. You at your lowest point needed help, after spending your entire life helping her up. And she said, nah, that inconveniences me. I'd be upset too. The hardest part would be trusting her again, because she's already shown she isn't trustworthy. Commenter. 4. So the reason she has become who she is instead of turning to bad friendships, drugs, or who knows what else was your sacrifice and dedication. And while her husband gets to have a functional wife, you get nobody to be there for you. And now that the problem is solved, she feels bad? As for friends and girlfriend, tell them you appreciate their concern, but your mental health is better this way, and that's your decision, not theirs. She wasn't that worried about you before. Why should you be worried about her now? Commenter. 5. It's my own nitpicky word use, but I treat the phrase forgive and forget as two separate things. Forgiving is giving up any need for restitution. If I forgive, all I'm doing is saying I don't need restitution in any way. The matter is settled. So in that sense, go ahead and forgive her. There's nothing she can ever do to make that up to you, and letting that go should be no big deal. But then there's that forget half, which for me is letting go of bad feelings. That would be way harder for me since I don't get the feeling she regrets what she did, but that she regrets the consequences. What did her apologies sound like? There aren't hard and fast rules, but here are some non-apologies. I'm sorry that you... This is borderline gaslighting that implies you're imagining you've been wronged. I'm sorry I did that, but... reasons. This person also isn't sorry since they think the reasons justify what they did. They regret the consequences. That said, it's perfectly fine to only do one of them. You can absolutely forgive her and at the same time make it clear that your relationship has fundamentally changed. Saying things can never go back to the way they were, assuming that's true, doesn't have to be done in a cruel way. And if you want to do it that way, stay NC because you're not ready to forgive. I'd also demand an apology from your brother-in-law. If he forced her hand, he's the one that owes you the apology. Commenter. 6. You've done everything for her you were obligated to. The one time you needed something, she failed you. I don't care if it was her spouse who initially said you couldn't. Stay there. She went along with it. I'd have a really hard time forgiving, and it'd be impossible for me to forget. At some point, you might be okay being superficial acquaintances, but you'll probably never be able to trust that she'd have your back ever again. Update. I, 29MN, can't seem to forgive my sister, 26F, after she completely bailed on me when I was on the brink of being homeless. So I had a huge amount of people inquiring as to what ended up happening, and asking me to make an update should anything happen. And while I wasn't sure if I would or even should, I eventually decided to just go ahead and do it. Let me start by apologizing to the people who commented on my post. I made my post and it didn't seem to gain much traction at all. So I more or less stopped looking at it for about a day, I think, only to figure out the next day that I had gotten a lot of comments. Unfortunately, when I decided to reply to a lot of the comments I had been reading, I realized that this subreddit locks the comments after a certain amount of comments have been made, or karma has been reached. I am afraid I was not aware of this admittedly very odd rule, so that's on me. I did end up reading most comments, and would like to thank everyone offering advice, or just saying something supportive. First, to answer a couple of questions that I was unable to answer, along with addressing some incorrect comments in the previous post, yet I saw asked quite a few times. The first few no's were without reasonable explanation. I was not aware of her given reason that her husband was not okay with it until later. She did not know she was pregnant when she declined, and most of it happened before she would have even been pregnant in the first place. I mean, most of this took place over a year ago. I even put that in the post, so I am not sure how that math would even work. I am not an anti-vaxxer or dirty or something. There were quite a few comments that theorized this would be the case for her refusal. I got my 2 vaccination shots the moment I could them. And well, while my personal hygiene is not exactly anyone's business, I shower once a day, and my apartment is spotless. A lot of advice and comments seem to be from the perspective of functional families with a functional family structure. That is not the case here. The primary reason I am so gutted about this entire situation is exactly that. This isn't a case of, well, I don't want my cousin to stay in my house, he can stay somewhere else. This is a case of me having sacrificed my entire youth and a significant portion of my early adult life for someone that I played no part in creating or have any parental responsibility for, and the first and only time I ever asked her to do something. For me, as the only person I could reasonably fall back on, and her not doing that, that's more than a familial spat. That is a straight-up betrayal. That's also an answer to the people saying that she owes me nothing because I chose to be a parent. Anyway, with that out of the way, I decided to follow some advice given by several people. I told my girlfriend and the friends who involved themselves or were involved by my sister to back off, or to lose my number. They do not understand my perspective, and they likely never will. And I need to get that through my head, as I have a tendency to talk about my life as if it is a standard. But it is a standard only to me. Luckily, most people don't go through any of that. I obviously had a longer and face-to-face conversation with my GF, and with individual close friends. But it boils down to that. One friend kept pestering me about it, and I ended up dropping him as a friend, but my GF was apologetic, and most friends were either apologetic or said they'd drop it. I ended up writing a long email to my sister, and while I will not copy and paste the entire thing here, as it contains a lot of personal information, and far more horrible stuff that I am unsure will even be allowed on a sub like this, it more or less boiled down to me explaining to her how her refusal to take me in for what ended up being a few weeks made me feel, and I detailed a long list of things I had done to take care of her. I ended up finishing my email telling her that even if I take her version of the story as truth and her husband is the cause of me not being allowed to stay, that it is entirely irrelevant to me, because that just means she didn't fight for me at all. I also informed her I have no interest in meeting her child as of this moment, and I have no interest in reconnecting with her, and if that changes in the future, I will be the one to contact her. I told her to let this be a lesson to her as it has been a painful lesson to me. Boiled down, I have decided to move on and keep the door on the tiniest of cracks. She has responded a lot since that moment. She seems unable to accept it, but I have not responded since. I don't have anything else to tell you, I am afraid. And since the sub only allows one update, well, it is what it is. Again, thank you all for taking the time to respond to my post, and thank you all for your insightful replies. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. The fact she's still pestering you despite you clearly telling her that you don't want that says a lot about who she is as a person, and what it says is that she's selfish and entitled, and only cares about herself and what she wants, in which case you are better off never re-establishing contact, because she would only use that opening to try to get something from you. If you haven't blocked her everywhere already, do so. If she shows up in person ever again, give her one warning that if she doesn't leave, or if she comes back, you will call the police and have her officially trespassed from your property, and will be pursuing a restraining order against her because she is harassing you. Reply, I wouldn't necessarily view her as a person who just wants stuff from others. It would be an unfair characterization. For example, a lot of people were saying she probably just wants free babysitting, which I really doubt in general. That said, she is blocked pretty much everywhere, apart for on my personal mail, which is what I refer to as the tiny opening. Unfortunately, that's what she is using to bombard me with mails, so I may end up blocking her there too. If it was unclear, however, I am certainly not thinking of re-establishing anything anytime soon. Talking years here, commenter. 2. Wow, I totally get why you would feel not only betrayed but also extremely hurt. I think it is crazy that people would sum it up to your sister doesn't owe you anything. You expect your sibling to be there for you. Period. My advice is to seek therapy to help you get over the things that happened in the past. You are a traumatized person, and you need to navigate your feelings and should do it with a professional. That is, if you haven't already. Reply, had the situation been different, I might imagine I would have reacted differently. But since the situation is what it is, I guess I do more or less feel like she owes me to an extent. But as I said, you got to view that in the whole picture. I did not owe her so much of my life and energy either, but I still did it. That's how she should have been towards me. Commenter 3. I'm really sorry that this happened. I understand what it's like to be a giver and not be able to count on people when you need them. I would be interested if you ever sit down with your sister to find out exactly what was going through her mind. It's always interesting to me how she's thinking now versus what she was thinking then. And it could be that she's a passive person who has always been either taken care of or a victim. And all she needed was her husband's disapproval to make her feel insecure enough not to understand how important it was that she be there for you. I am most of the time advocating for forgiveness, for the benefit of the giver, as well as the receiver. But I always acknowledge that forgiving doesn't mean forgetting, and a true apology involves taking full responsibility, showing true remorse, and a willingness to patiently mend the damage caused. I'm glad that you were able to work this out with your girlfriend. I'm sure she only had the best of intentions. My heart breaks for your sister, and for you. You survived and were injured deeply, and now she is left with the consequences of her actions, and no way to fix them. If it were me, I would listen, if you have not done so already, to fully understand, and have her express her understanding of how you feel and why. But your approach is your approach, and it is perfectly valid. What happened was no small thing, and in the context of your life was a terrible betrayal. I guess I would ask her, if our situations were reversed, can you imagine me doing what you did, and how would you feel had I done so? What you are saying is, it doesn't matter because there's no reason or thought process good enough, and it is beyond redemption for the time being. Given your bond, I think eventually you will have some manner of connection with your sister, but for now this is what you have to do, and she needs to respect that. Her efforts do show sincerity, even if they are violating the boundaries you have set. I want to be harder on her. These are the consequences. I'm happy that you survived, and that you figured out how to get your life back on track, and I have sadness for both of you, and respect for your need to keep her in the category in which she put herself. ETA. I constantly rail against the crowd on this forum who claim, you don't owe anyone anything, or no one owes anyone anything. That's narcissistic echo chamber bullshit from people who probably wouldn't lift a finger to help another human being no matter what. Certainly family helps family, especially with the bond. We should all expect more of ourselves, and if no one owes anyone anything under that theory, this is how your sister ended up estranged from you because you don't know her anything either. But I think my post speaks more to my state of mind. I just can't stand these idiots who want to harass a poster and invalidate them. Reply, that's another part of the puzzle here. I do feel like seeing her in person and talking to her is essentially relenting to her consistent attempts to contact me, which is something I really do not want to do for two reasons. It sets a precedent in terms that enough consistent contacting, bothering and stalking will force me to forgive her. I simply don't feel like she deserves to be forgiven, at least not yet, and an in-person talk may mean I am swayed to forgive her, which sets another precedent. At this point, however, she shouldn't have to worry about whether I would have done the same. It is an irrelevant question now. If right now she got to my door and had nowhere else to go, I'd probably answer with a simple, no, commenter, 5. I'm one of the original commenters. You did what I'd have done in that situation. She turned her back on you the one time she could have shined and showed you how much she appreciated what you did for her, that she had your back, as you've had hers. Her actions or lack thereof said everything there was to say. I don't have any more comments other than good luck and Godspeed. Commenter 6. As the oldest daughter of an immigrant family, I did and do a lot for my siblings. It's not a role I particularly wanted, but I have learned to not resent it and have implemented boundaries as I've grown older. I would be absolutely crushed if I was ever in your position, because it would be a betrayal of my love. I don't want my siblings to pay me back. I don't want special treatment. I don't make unreasonable requests or encroach on their lives, but if I had nowhere to turn, I would want them to support me as I did them. And they would, and have. All that to say, I understand how you feel. Thank you for the update. Stories number 2. It was revealed that my dad has a secret other family, and now there is drama. Plus 3-year update. The story is that my dad had a child with another woman shortly after he married my mom, but before I was born. My brother that I didn't know about is 32. I'm 28F, and my younger brothers are 26 and 24. My dad gave the other woman money over the years, and her and my brother knew my dad was married and had a family, but none of us knew about them. The only reason my brother, 32M, revealed the secret is because his son needs a bone marrow transplant, and they are looking for a match, and anyone with a blood relation is the best chance for one. My mom feels betrayed, obviously, and I doubt their marriage will survive. But I hate all the drama and gossiping that is happening in my family. I hate drama in general, and this is like my worst nightmare. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. What I'm more interested in knowing is, did they find a bone marrow match for the kid? Reply. We only found out about my brother and my dad's secret family 2 days ago. OP on if she and her brothers are going to get tested. Reply, I'm disqualified as a donor because I have had cancer, but my younger brothers and my uncle and my cousins said they will get tested. I would too if I could. OP clarifies the timeline of her older brother's birth. Reply, my dad had a child with another woman shortly after he married my mom. My parents married in February of 1989, and my brother was born in September of 1990. OP. On her mother's well-being after finding out about her brother and his family. Reply, my mom is devastated. She went to stay with my grandmother and my great-aunt. I'm torn between worried about her, angry at my dad, and worried about my nephew. So all over the place. Commenter 2. So did your dad get tested? What did he say? I'm sorry about the little boy. Proud of you all for trying to help BTW. You all will probably end up needing therapy after all this. Reply, my dad got tested when my nephew first got diagnosed. He just says the past is the past, and it was a one-time indiscretion. But none of us believe him. Commenter 3. Yikes. Even if anyone could actually believe that the sexual infidelity was a one-time indiscretion, your dad misappropriated money for at least 18 years, which is not something that is tolerated, even by no-fault states. And as if keeping the secret son and concealing and stealing money from your family wasn't bad enough, he was either a complete deadbeat who had no relationship with his child, or he repeatedly lied to and betrayed your mom by spending time with your half-brother and his AP, probably claiming he was at work, when he could have been spending time with you and your younger brothers. Reply, he never spent time with him. My dad gave his mom money, but my brother didn't meet him until he was in college, and they've only met twice before this. The money part, I agree with you definitely. Downvoted commenter. Not necessarily explain it away, but there could be more to the story than Op knows. There could have been some sort of arrangement, event, etc. that was the start of all this, or it could just be that her father is a horrible person. Either way, I think there is more to the story that having her father explain may help Op feel better about the situation. Reply, there was no arrangement, and my older brother was born 19 months after my parents got married, and they were together for almost 2 years before the wedding as well. My mom was devastated when she found out, and this news has absolutely destroyed her. How did the brother get in touch with OOP and her family? Reply, he hired a private investigator. He contacted us against my dad's will. Dad had told him not to contact us, but this wasn't a normal situation where he just wanted to tell us for fun. It was because his son's life is at stake. He's only met my dad twice before this. Once when he was in college, and the second time for my dad to be tested too. See if he was a match. Dad isn't on the birth certificate and wasn't involved in his life at all, so it's not as though my brother knew where to find us. Update, it was revealed that my dad has a secret other family, and now there is drama. I forgot about this post for a while because of everything that was going on. I want to thank the people who posted supportive comments towards me and my family, and weren't negative about it. My mom divorced my dad. She could not get past the infidelity, and didn't believe my dad that it was only a one-time indiscretion. She was devastated when she found out. She's doing better now, but it still hurts sometimes. They were married for 34 years, so it's been a big adjustment for her. She moved into a new flat and is trying to move on. My relationship with my dad has been destroyed over this, and how he acted. Same for the rest of my family. Regarding my nephew, it turned out that while no one in my family is a match, my brothers, my uncle and my cousins all got tested. The then girlfriend, now fiancé of my cousin, was a match. She agreed to the transplant. It was complete fluke, because she isn't genetically related to my nephew. But she has given him a second chance and had no hesitation about agreeing to give. Everything went as well as it could have, and my nephew is doing great. I was ineligible to give my bone marrow because I've had cancer in the past, or I would have been tested too. My nephew is doing great, and that's all we can really ask for. We have gotten to know my brother, his wife, and my nephew. My brother has only met or talked to my dad twice in his life, once when he was in university, and once to tell my dad that my nephew needed a bone marrow transplant. Total time for both meetings put together was less than 30 minutes. My dad was never involved in his life and was against my brother contacting us. My dad tried to intimidate him into staying away even knowing my nephew was sick. We don't care what my dad says though. My brother wasn't trying to get money or anything from us. It was just about trying to save my nephew. I've never met my brother's mother, but apparently she's doing well and is in a committed relationship, and my brother gets along with her boyfriend. But me and my family are focusing on getting to know my brother and his wife and son. Top comments commenter. 1. I'm happy your nephew is all right and hope you all continue to thrive. Except your dad, of course. He can rot. Commenter 2. This is the best way this terrible situation could have played out. Commenter 3. That's honestly amazing that you've been able to reconnect with your brother, his wife, and especially your nephew. It sounds like a real second chance for your family, and I'm glad to hear your nephew is thriving after everything. It's wild how things lined up with your cousin's fiancé being the match, like it was meant to be. As for your dad, of course he tried to keep your brother away. If he had his way, he'd still be living the high life, pretending none of this existed and coasting through life, instead of facing the consequences of his choices. The fact that you all ignored him and chose connection over his intimidation says a lot about your strength as a family. Stories number 3. My wife changed the terms of being a Sam, and now I'm questioning if our marriage agreement still works. Hi. Everyone, throw away account because some family and friends lurk here. I 35mm have been married to my wife Allie, 37F, for a year. We've been together for a little over 2 years total. I also have 2 kids from my previous marriage with my ex-wife Alex, 32F Ethan, 8M Lily, 6 Falex. And I share 50-50 custody, but because Alex's job has her traveling often, she's in corporate consulting, I realistically have Ethan and Lily more, like 65-70% of the time. Alex pays child support accordingly, but day to day, I'm the more present parent. Allie knew this dynamic before we ever got serious. In fact, it was one of the first conversations we had when things looked like they might turn long-term. I told her bluntly, if this works out, you're not just signing up for me. You're signing up for me and 2 kids. She said she understood and was fine with it. Fast forward to our marriage. One of the biggest discussions pre-wedding was about Allie wanting to be a SAHM stay-at-home mom. She was crystal clear. She wanted to devote herself to home and family life, not a career. I told her I could support that, but only if being a Sam meant for all the kids, not just hers. Otherwise, the math and the emotional labor wouldn't add up. I said, if I'm going to shoulder 100% of the financial burden, then you need to shoulder the home burden, not just with our future kids, but with Ethan and Lily too. Allie agreed. Happily even. She said she'd always dreamed of being a full-time mom, and she liked the idea of being a steady maternal figure for Ethan and Lily as well. We went into marriage aligned, or so I thought. The issue: Allie is currently 7 months pregnant with our first child together. A few weeks ago, she sat me down at the kitchen table and told me she wanted to revisit our SAM agreement. She said she has been reflecting on her upcoming motherhood journey and feels strongly that she wants to spend at least the first year being a Sam to only our baby. Her words, I don't want to be responsible for the older kids at all for the first year. This is my first time as a mom, and I need to protect my space and bond with our baby. It's my #1 boundary. After that year, I'll reassess and maybe step up more with Ethan and Lily. I'll be honest, this blindsided me. That was not our deal. I told her straight. That doesn't work. I can't support 5 people on my salary alone if you're not taking responsibility for all the kids. The numbers don't add up, and it's not fair to Ethan and Lily either. Allie doubled down. She said I needed to figure it out and respect her boundary, and that I was being controlling for trying to hold her to an agreement we made before she'd even experienced motherhood. Why this is complicated: financials. I earn a good salary in IT project management, but it's not support a family of 5 by myself with no compromises money. The plan always relied on Allie handling childcare to avoid expensive daycare. Logistics. Ethan and Lily have school pickups, drop-offs, after-school activities, dentist appointments, etc. I can't be in 2 places at once, especially with a newborn. Fairness. My ex-wife Alex is already giving us more flexibility than the court agreement requires. She adjusted her work schedule around the due date to keep Ethan and Lily for 2 weeks, And she even promised to avoid travel the first month in case of emergencies. She's stepping up. Allie refusing to step in feels like she's stepping out future worries. Allie says it's just 1 year, but we've also talked about wanting at least one more kid. If she extends the 1 year every time she's pregnant or nursing, this could drag on indefinitely. The fallout. Since that conversation, things have been tense. Allie feels I'm moving the goalposts and reneging on my promise to let her be a sachem. I feel she's the one who moved the goalposts by narrowing the definition of sachem to only her biological child. She's hurt and angry. I'm stressed and resentful. We've had multiple late-night arguments. At one point, she cried and said, "You're making me choose between being the mom I need to be and keeping our marriage intact." That cut deep. But the reality is, I can't do this without her. What I've already put in place, my ex Alex will keep Ethan and Lily for 2 weeks after the birth. Alex also arranged not to travel for 6 weeks, so she'll be around more than usual. I've already prepaid our after-school sitter to handle pickups, drop-offs for an extra month after that. So Allie already has 6 weeks minimum, where she won't have to do a single thing for Ethan or Lily. I thought that was a generous compromise, but she's saying it's not enough. Where I'm stuck, I love my wife. I want her to have the space to bond with our baby, but I also can't ignore that I have 2 other kids who didn't ask for any of this and still need stability. If Allie refuses to help, I either burn myself out trying to juggle it all or hire help I can't really afford long-term. Neither option seems sustainable. So now I'm genuinely questioning. Do I stick to my boundary that being a SAHM has to include Ethan and Lily? Or do I cave to her boundary that she only cares for our baby for the first year? Edit 1. Clarifications. Allie is not currently working and has no plans to return to work. The original SAHM agreement was made multiple times, before marriage and after, so it wasn't a vague maybe. Ethan and Lily have a great relationship with Allie right now. They see her as another parental figure, which makes this harder. I'm not angry at Allie for wanting to bond with our baby. I'm upset she changed terms after I committed to financially supporting her. Edit 2. Update. After talking with Alex, I spoke with Alex, my ex. She was calm but firm. Ethan and Lily can't feel like second-class citizens in their own home. If Allie doesn't want to step up, then we'll need to rethink custody because I won't have my kids being neglected. That terrified me. Alex has every right to petition for more custody if she feels Allie isn't providing a safe or equal environment. Edit 3. Where things stand now. Allie and I are in a standoff. She says I'm bullying her into being a stepmom when she just wants to be a mom. I told her being a stepmom was always part of the deal, and she agreed to it. We're considering counseling, but I don't know if we can bridge this. I feel like I married someone under one set of terms, and now she's rewriting the contract midstream, TLDR. My wife Allie and I agreed before marriage that she'd be a SM for all the kids mine from a previous marriage plus ours. Now she's saying she'll only care for our baby for the first year, not the older kids, and I don't think it's sustainable. Comments. Commenter. No, you're not wrong. In fact, I would bet money that she planned this the whole time. She knew she didn't want to watch them, but it was the only way to get you to agree. So she said she would, and she probably intended to wait till after the baby was born and tell you it was too much work, and she just couldn't take care of the other 2. But somewhere along the line she got cocky and decided she can get away with telling you now. Or maybe she's impatient. I don't actually know, but either way I'm pretty sure this was always her intention. There's the possibility that she didn't realize that you as a family wouldn't be able to afford paying somebody to take them and pick them up. And she thought her involvement was going to be a couple minutes in the morning, and then after school, when you'll likely be around for the bulk of the time. She found out that she actually has to parent all the kids in order to be a stay-at-home parent. But that is still her planning on taking no real responsibility for your kids. Normally, I would just suggest explaining the finances and maybe some counseling, but people who are manipulative don't normally admit it in therapy. So even in counseling, I don't think the truth will come out. I don't know what to tell you to do, but this is messed up, and you have every right to not want to work yourself to death for her to stay home with one kid and basically ignore your other 2, who will definitely feel replaced. Parents that care about their children worry about the older child feeling pushed out by the baby. This chick actually wants to push the older kids out for the baby. Most parents do everything they can to minimize the older child or children. Being ignored or not prioritized, your wife is making a point to do it. Now let's add in the fact that they're not her kids. They are going to instantly feel replaced and hate that baby if she's allowed to act like this. This will break your family up. I'm here because your story is on Reddit storyline 101 on FB. They use the exact same headline pretty much, so I just put it in the Reddit search and found you super easy and click your profile, since the original one was taken down, then found this one. But it is also in a repost sub now, so just letting you know people you know might see it soon. Reply, yeah. I've basically confronted her and told her that her options are: she keeps working. I'm willing to support her for her 12 weeks of unpaid FMLA, but after that the baby would go to the not free but heavily subsidized daycare on-site at my work, and everything else stays the same. She doesn't go back to work, and we continue paying the nanny who takes the kids to, picks up and watches the kids after school. However, this will take up all of her fun money I have allocated in our new budget. Right now she waits tables some weekends and evenings to make extra money. I'm fine with her continuing to do that, to make money for the extra stuff she wants to buy. Thanks to all the comments on Reddit, I told her I'm not longer comfortable with the idea of her being a sachem to my kids. She can work on rebuilding that, and I know my kids still love her, but a lot of comments opened my eyes. She's completely devastated, and even tried arguing that I should stop putting money into my kids' college funds, so as not to take away her fun money, or even more deranged, asking my ex-wife to take the kids out of their private school to save the money we pay towards it, uniforms and activities. Just the idea of asking that from my ex is insane, so she's currently being pretty cold towards me. Not the kids though, and I'm just so over it. We have a therapist appointment Tuesday, so hopefully that will help. But she's really fucked with my trust in her with this. Update. AETA for changing my mind about my wife being a SHM because she changed the terms. Edit to add one quick thing. I've known Allie since freshman year biology. We never dated until a few years ago, but we've always remained friends. I have known her, and this behavior is also new. She loved being a bonus mom, would be excited for the kids to come over for extra time, and would even ask me to ask my ex if she could have them randomly if she wanted to take a day off and go swimming or to the zoo or something. I've asked her for all to her doctor about this, and she's yelled at me about it. I have no clue to what to do. I posted on another sub, but they locked and removed it for violating a rule that honestly I don't think it did. So YOLO, you can find the other post on my profile, but the gift of it is that my wife Allie and I had multiple discussions about her being a Sam to our future kids, in addition to my 2 kids from my previous marriage to Alex. However, she recently told me that she wanted the first year of our upcoming baby's life to be just a Sam to the baby, and I told her that wouldn't work for me or our budget. I talked to Allie and laid everything out. I told her that her demands were out of line and incredibly entitled, and that if she insisted on keeping them, I was no longer comfortable with her quitting her job and would not support it. Further, 2 weeks without my kids was ridiculous, so I told her that if she went into labor during our custody time, my parents would have the older kids when we were in the hospital. But I am not longer comfortable sending my kids away to their moms for 2 weeks. Other families don't normally do that, and I would not either. But for the first 2 months of us having the baby, I would keep paying the nanny and take care of the older kids' things, which is longer than I had originally agreed. Honestly, it was also more than she'd even originally agreed to, so I thought it was a fair compromise. She lost her mind and flipped out at me, told me that I wasn't respecting her first-time motherhood, WTF, and that she shouldn't have to care for kids I didn't give birth to for the first year of her baby's life. I was honestly over it at this point and done arguing. I told her she needed to check herself and that none of this was new or a surprise. If she didn't want to do it, she shouldn't have agreed to it, and her being a stay-at-home mom was off the table. To be clear, I know I could make it work with just my salary, but it would mean taking the funds I would allocate towards her fun money for things like shoeing, self-care, etc. And I'm not comfortable telling an adult dependent on me financially that she couldn't have a choice for fun money. I showed her the budget, which backfired because she said that I didn't need to defund her fun money and gave me a few solutions, which were take the older kids out of private school and ask my ex to give us that money in child support. Instead, stop putting money into my older kids' college fund, selling my boat. Those were her solutions, none of which have her sacrificing anything. Only me and/or my kids. And the first one was so unreasonable, I could only imagine how that conversation with my ex would go. She'd laugh me out of the country, lol. I told Allie all of that was unreasonable and a non-starter, and honestly just made me see where her priorities are. So yeah, I told her that if she couldn't agree to common sense compromises, I could no longer trust her to be a Sam to our older kids, that there was zero daylight in how much I cared about my older kids versus our shared baby and had to protect them both equally. The fact that she thought it was reasonable to stop saving for my older kids' college while still giving her money for Botox and highlights showed me where her priorities would lie if she no longer brought in income. I said I was no longer comfortable with her quitting her job, and that since my work has not free but heavily reduced daycare on site, that would be the best option for our family after her family leave. She doesn't get paid maternity leave, just unpaid up to 3 months, which will be fine. She's devastated and being cold towards me, but surprisingly not my kids, which is good. I don't want to kill her dreams of being a SHM, but I can't work with someone who refuses to be reasonable. We discussed it with our therapist last week, who wasn't exactly on my side, obviously, but was trying to point out the unfairness, and she just keeps saying she needs me to prioritize her needs and boundaries. The therapist even tried explaining that these are not boundaries, but she's not listening. So in summary, I tried reasoning with my wife. She tried convincing me to stop saving for college for the older kids to pay for their nanny, so she could only be a SAHM to our shared baby. And I told her I no longer thought it would work for her to be a SAHM. She's devastated, but we're working it out with our therapist, and I'm hoping this is all just hormones. Comments. Commenter 1. Please go see a lawyer and figure out how to protect you, and maybe making other college funds into a trust so can't be touched, etc. She is going to stay home with the baby no matter what, and will start rejecting your bio kids when she doesn't get her way. Reply, my kids' college and savings are in trusts. We had a prenuptial agreement as well, so I'm not too worried about. Commenter 2, NTA, but you should plan that. She will quit her job anyway to force you to accept her being a SAHM. Commenter 3. Please check in with your older children regularly to ensure that her behavior towards them has not changed when you are not present. Reply, that's the thing. She's still wonderful to them. They see a therapist as well, just monthly. You know, since the divorce we wanted to make sure they were okay, and it's like, when they're not around she's a different person. It's hard to explain how it's such a reversal to people that don't know her, but she was so lovely with them until she got pregnant. Commenter 4, Geezo man. There's absolutely no reasoning with her. I'd be drawing up plans to leave. You need to think about the future. Is this what you want your life to be like for years? She just sounds so incredibly selfish. I suspect life would be easier for you without her. It's not even her outrageous selfishness. You can't trust her. Stories number 4. My boyfriend wanted me to change my annual backyard party for him and his kids, and it caused a huge fight. Aita Reddit. This is a bit of a long one, but I really need outside perspective. I'm Melissa, 42F. For the past 12 years I've hosted an end-of-summer backyard party. It started as a casual neighborhood get-together when my oldest was a baby, and over the years it's become a tradition. My neighbors look forward to it. My kids, Ethan 10M and Lily 6F, look forward to it, and honestly it's one of the highlights of my year. The setup is always the same. Families gather in my backyard around 5 p.m. We grill, the kids run around with sparklers, neighbors bring desserts, and everyone mingles. Around 9 to 10 p.m. the kids go inside to bed in my house, since it's right next to the yard. Their rooms are just upstairs overlooking the backyard balcony. I can see their windows and they can see me. Plus, Ethan has a phone to text or call if needed. Once the kids are tucked in, the adults stay out for another hour or two. Drinks, music, just enjoying those last warm nights of the season. It's always worked. My neighbors know the setup. My kids are comfortable, and I've never had an issue. This year was the first time I invited my boyfriend, Daniel 46M, and his 2 kids, Max 7M and Sophie 5F. We've been dating 6 months, and things have been going well. I thought it would be a nice chance for him to meet more of my friends, and for the kids to all play together. When I explained the setup, Daniel got quiet. He said he wasn't comfortable with the idea of putting his kids to sleep in my house while we stayed outside. He felt like it was leaving them unattended in a strange place. I tried to reassure him. The kids would literally be 30 feet away. I'd have audio-visual access. My kids have done this for years, but he still didn't like it. Then he suggested an alternative. Either he'd take his kids home when it was bedtime, or I should come inside with him and stay with them instead of going back to the party. I told him honestly, "Daniel, this party has run the same way for over a decade. I'm not comfortable changing it for one guest. If you'd rather not come, I completely understand. No hard feelings." He nodded, but I could tell he was disappointed. The party night. The party went on as usual. My kids played with the neighbor kids, everyone brought food, and it was a really fun night. Around 9:30 p.m. I tucked Ethan and Lily into bed, kissed them goodnight, reminded Ethan about his phone, and went back outside. I didn't check my phone much because I was busy hosting, making sure the grill was going, refilling drinks, chatting with neighbors. I honestly lost track of time because I was having fun. When I finally looked at my phone, I had 5 missed texts from Daniel. "So I guess you're too busy to call. I feel like I'm not a priority to you. Enjoy your party. I'm clearly not part of it." My stomach sank. I called him right away, but he didn't pick up. The aftermath. The next morning, Daniel called me. He said he felt excluded, that, by not changing the format of the party to suit him and his kids, I was basically saying they weren't welcome. I pushed back. I told him it's a long-standing tradition. Guests decide if it works for them. I wasn't excluding him. I was simply not restructuring a whole event for one person. He said I should have compromised by going inside with him and the kids at bedtime instead of staying outside with my neighbors. I told him that would have meant abandoning my guests and breaking a tradition my kids and neighbors love. He said, "So the party means more to you than me and my kids?" I tried to explain it wasn't about that. It was about respecting something. That's been a part of my life for over a decade. But he wasn't hearing it. Now he's distant. He says he's not sure we're compatible if I can't prioritize him and his kids the way he needs. Meanwhile, my neighbors said they loved the party. My kids had a great time, and from my perspective everything went smoothly, except for the fallout with Daniel. So Reddit, am I really the bad guy here? Should I have changed the setup, or at least stepped away from my own party, to accommodate him and his kids? Or is it fair to keep my tradition as is? Final update. Hi again, Reddit. It's been about 6 months since I posted, and a lot has happened. Daniel and I broke up about 2 months after the party. Things between us never fully recovered. The fight about the party revealed some deeper incompatibilities. Daniel wanted a partner who would essentially blend into his parenting style and always put his kids first. I respect that, but I also need someone who respects my traditions, my independence, and my role as a mom to my own kids. We tried counseling briefly, but even there, Daniel said things like, "I need Melissa to understand that my kids come before her neighbors." The counselor gently pointed out that I wasn't asking him to prioritize my neighbors over his kids. I was just asking him not to demand I dismantle a decade-old tradition for him. It became clear we weren't on the same page about family blending. On the positive side, my kids are thriving. Ethan still talks about how much fun the party was last year, and Lily has already asked about this year's. My neighbors are already planning who's bringing what. And me? I'm actually at peace. I realized I want a partner who can join in with my traditions, not someone who sees them as competition. So while it hurt to let Daniel go, I know I made the right choice. This year's party is already on the calendar. Same setup, same rules, same laughter. And I'll be there, on the balcony when I tuck my kids in, and in the backyard when I raise a glass with my neighbors. Exactly where I belong. Comments. Commenter 1 NTA. He was testing the waters to see if he can control you, and now he is trying to manipulate you. You did nothing wrong. Commenter 2. Yep, hope you see this OP. He's making a weird demand to see if you'll change your traditions for him, and he's pretending he has something to be mad about to manipulate. U.NTA. But I hope you see through this manipulation OP. This man sees relationships as power struggles, and he wants you to give up your power. Keep your eyes open for more moves like this. Commenter 3.nta He literally could have just came for the party and left with his kids when it got late if he didn't want them sleeping over. Like, that's it. Full stop. Instead, he's mad? You have, only known for a couple months, wanted you to change a tradition that involves others. For what? Like, I still don't understand why he is so upset about this. It just doesn't make sense. Commenter 4. He wanted you to call him just to chat while you were hosting a party, which he declined to attend? Very, very needy human being with no common sense. Luckily, he showed this after only 6 months. It sounds like you have a good life independent of him, so probably best to go back to enjoying that for now. Better luck next time. Stories number 5 Woman has come forward claiming her child is my half-brother to try to get a part of my father's estate, despite the fact it is impossible. What can I do make this woman go away or pay for this stunt? So here's the situation. My father passed about 2 months ago from natural causes and left everything he owned to me and my sister. His estate is worth over $5 million with almost half of that in liquid assets. His estate is still being split up now, not because me and sis are fighting or anything. The two of us are just working together to see who wants what and figuring out what to do with the rest. But that isn't the issue here. About a week ago, a woman we'll call Stupid Bitch SB for short contacted my father's estate attorney claiming that she had a secret child with him and demanded he get a third of the estate. I have never met this woman, or even knew she existed until then, but apparently she is the daughter of someone my dad went to high school with, so it isn't out of the question at first. But here's the thing. My dad was diagnosed with testicular cancer 15 years ago and had both his testicles removed. So unless this kid is at least 14, then it's impossible it's his. So entertaining the thought, I met with SB and was surprised to find out this secret child is 9 years old and looks nothing like my father. During this meeting, she demanded her child's share of my dad's estate and wants 9 years of child support in cash. She claimed she would sue if he wasn't added into the will. My dad's estate lawyer said that if SB's kid passed a DNA test, he would bust. She refused. She claims she has a secret letter from my father acknowledging this kid as his own, but refused to provide it. The meeting ended with my father's estate lawyer telling her to pretty much get out until she's ready to do a DNA test, and her claiming she would see us in court. It's pretty obvious this is not my dad's kid, but SB is still trying to take from us. My question is, what can I do to make her go away? What kind of legal action can I take to make her disappear from my life? If she does try to take action against me and my sister, what can I do to make sure this bitch gets what she deserves? Relevant comments. Commenter 1. Let your lawyer handle it. Ask him to send her a letter telling her she is not to contact you at all, but only him when she is ready to take a DNA test. If she does contact you, he will deem it harassment and pursue your legal remedies. Then block her from contacting you. Reply, attorney said just don't respond or tell her anything until she takes the DNA test or goes away. If she sues the estate, we'll take care of it. Update. Seeing as the last post I made got popular, thought I would come back and give an update. As much as I wish this ended dramatically with SD getting arrested or embarrassed in court, I'm sad to say this isn't the case, so, after I sent SD the text telling her to stop contacting me, she began to blow my phone up with voicemails and texts. I saved them all, obviously, and forwarded them to my father's attorney. The day after I made my first post, my attorney had a letter sent to SD. Won't post the letter here, but I'll paraphrase to the best of my ability while trying to interpret all the legal talk. If you believe your child's claim to my client's estate is legitimate, please submit to a DNA test as your earliest convenience. If an independent DNA test confirms your claims of my client's paternity to your child, we will see to having him compensated as according to local laws for the requested child support. On the claim of getting a portion of the estate, my client specified in his will that his estate would be left to his children, fake father 21 and sister, unless you are able to provide the letter of recognition, as you stated in my office on the 22nd, we will consider that your child was either disowned or unacknowledged by my client, and will proceed as such. If you are unable to provide the claimed letter, I advise you seek legal counsel of your own. On the topic of your continued contact with my client's benefactors, I suggest you cease it immediately. They have made it clear that they do not wish to associate with you outside of legal dealings. If you continue to contact them, I have recommended they take legal action against you. The best part has to be how he ended it. However, if there is the possibility that your claims of my client's paternity to your child are misinformed or fraudulent, I suggest you admit to this and cease contact with me and my clients. If you continue these actions under false claims, not only will you be receiving a bill for my time, I will suggest that my clients take legal action against you. While this was going on, my sister tracked down SB's parents and got into contact with them. It turns out that SB has not had contact with her parents in multiple years, but that is not the important part. Apparently, this is not the first time she has done this. Apparently, she pulled the same stunt with another man when this kid was born 9 years ago and got paid off to leave him alone. I also forwarded this to my attorney, so fast forward to this morning when I get a call from my attorney. SB is retracting her statements, claiming she misunderstood the situation and no longer believes her son is my father's kid. So yeah, no big dramatic ending, sadly, but I guess this is over. Thanks for the advice originally. I know some people were asking why I came here when I already had an attorney, and to be honest, I see where you guys are coming from. I was pretty stressed. And with this woman trying to steal what my father had worked his whole life for, I really just needed a place to vent and look for advice on what I should do. Thanks for that. Stories number 6. Aita for being willing to end my marriage because I refused to uproot my kids from their life to follow my stepkids. My wife and I have been together for 4 years, married for almost 2. We both have kids. My daughter is 11 and my son is 9. We lost their mom when they were younger. My wife had been divorced for many years and shared custody of her 15 and 16-year-olds with her ex until a few months ago when he was granted permission to move to another state with their kids because their kids wanted to go with their dad. My wife doesn't want to be away from her kids for long periods of time, and she has told me she's moving. She feels like she needs to be near her kids. I support this, but I won't move my kids away from family, friends, and stability to do this. My kids don't want to move either. They heard my wife mention it several weeks ago and they told me they don't want to leave. They'd miss everyone too much. I already know the life my kids have here is what they need, and where they thrive. I explained this to my wife and she was defeated. She told me we can't make a marriage work if I'm here and she's there, and I said I agree, and I told her I believe the best way forward would be to divorce. She was upset by this, of course, and we talked and I comforted her, and she asked me if there was anything she could say or do to make me reconsider. I told her I won't move my children, and I would never ask her to be apart from her kids for months at a time. I said we're both committed to the best interest of our individual children, and that means doing what's right for them, even if it's not right for us as a couple. She asked for us to talk it out some more, and we have. We've talked about it extensively, but all the while she has been making arrangements for a place where her ex and kids now live, and a new job. I think she believed I would change my mind the more we discussed everything, but I have not. And now she's angry that I would rather our marriage end than move, so we can all be together as a family. But I know this is not what's best for my kids. Comments. Commenter. 1 NTA. You're putting your kids' stability first, and that's exactly what a parent should do. It sucks for your marriage, but forcing them to move away from their entire support system would be unfair. Your wife is doing what she feels she has to for her kids, and you're doing the same for yours. It's heartbreaking, but sometimes love isn't enough when kids are involved. Commenter 2 NTA. As a parent, you need to do what's best for your kids. It's sad that your marriage will have to end, but it's unfair to uproot your kids. Even more so since her kids choose to live with their dad, and are older teens who will become more and more independent in the coming years. Commenter 3 NTA. You're putting your children first, as you should. Why is she getting angry at you? Whilst she did the right thing by putting her children first, she's the one that broke the family dynamic. She's the one who had already put the wheels in motion to move. She just thought you'd follow after her, and is angry because you didn't bow to her demands. That's not thinking as a family. Reply. I think she's angry that I'm sticking to what we both always said when we started our relationship. Just like she's putting her kids first, I'm doing the same, and I think the reality of that is frustrating her when I in theory have more flexibility than she does. But what matters most to me is would it be good for my kids, and the answer is no. This move would not be good for them. Commenter 4. Your children are so lucky to have such an amazing father. Reply, thank you. I truly want to be the best dad I can be to them. They already lost their mom, and I don't want them to feel like they had a dad who didn't put them first. Stories number 7. Just learned why my hair has been so oily for nearly all of my life and I feel stupid. Look, I'm in my 30s, and I just discovered that I'm not properly washing my hair correctly. It sounds so stupid, but ever since I could remember I have had oily hair and have been battling it with washing it every day in dry shampoo. I looked into clarifying shampoo and like it helped a little bit, but 24 hours later it's be a greasy mess again. Then I come across a TikTok that says people with oily hair might not be rinsing out their hair all the way using too much shampoo or conditioner, and therefore leaving an oily residue on your strands. So I thought, well, let's give it a try. I fucking washed my hair and fucking sectioned said hair into several parts when rinsing the shampoo out for a hair. Used the smallest fraction of my usual amount of conditioners, and again sectioned while rinsing literally took 15 minutes to make sure everything was out of it. And you know what? My hair looks fucking fabulous. I'm so fucking pissed off and embarrassed. I'm literally on day 2, and it still looks so fucking good. I'm also upset. Do you know how many times I've just put my hair up in a bun because no other hairstyle looked good on me? So you know how many times I've given up on curling my hair because my hair couldn't hold a curl. I'm thinking of all the cute hairstyles that I could have had if I had known just needed to fucking rinse my hair better for a minute or two in the shower. I'm in my fucking 30s. How did I not know how to fucking wash my hair? Comments. Commenter 1. Same but different. Girl, I wasn't washing stuff out properly as well, and I was prone to buildup and dandruff. I felt stupid too, haha. I section my hair now. Commenter 2. Same. The thicker my hair got, I noticed buildup on my scalp. Turns out I wasn't rinsing my hair for long enough. Now I turn my hot water to warm and rinse my hair by sectioning it for a good minute or two, and my hair looks like I just left the salon once I dry it. Truly game-changing. Who would have thought something so simple makes such a difference? I would just rinse by standing under the water and moving my head back and forth, and never realized how much is trapped under all the other hair. Stories number 8. Boss told me I had to clock out anytime I left the till. So I did, every single time. I used to work retail for a manager who thought customer service meant chaining me to the register. One day he tells me I've been leaving the till too often. By too often, he meant grabbing change from the safe, getting a roll of bags, even walking 5 feet to throw out trash. His new rule: if you step away from the register, even for a second, you must clock out. All right then. Next shift, I took him literally. At 9:10 a.m., a customer drops a jar that smashes near the counter. I clock out, grab the paper towels, clean it, clock back in at 9:16, 9:40. Receipt printer jams. Clock out, walk 3 feet to maintenance, get the roll. Clock back in at 9:47, 10:05. Customer wants coins for the parking meter. Clock out, walk to the safe, get change. Clock back in at 10:13, 10:42. I need to grab a bag of quarters for the till. Clock out, 20 steps to the office. Clock back in at 10:50. 11:15. Someone asks me to check if we have larger bags. Clock out, grab them from literally the shelf behind me. Clock back in at 11:18. By the end of the day, my time card showed I'd left work 13 times. It added up to nearly 2 hours of unpaid breaks, all for basic stuff I was supposed to do. Payroll flagged it, HR called me in, and I showed them the email from my boss laying out the rule in black and white. Next thing I know, he's the one being chewed out. The rule vanished overnight, and magically we were trusted to use common sense again. Comments. Commenter 1. I just have never left the register. I'm sorry, I can't get change for you because if I do, I have to clock out, and I won't get paid for that work task. Perhaps can help you? That makes these non-register customer service tasks 100% his problem, while you give excellent customer service at the register. Commenter 2. Why did you have to clock out when you were literally still working? I would understand if your boss made you clock out to go pee, even though it's a little unhinged, but he was trying to steal time and money from you. What the hell? Commenter 3. I'm sure once OP had that meeting with HR, payroll edited his time card back to reflect the hours worked. There's no way, even after a meeting with HR, that HR wouldn't correct that issue, especially if they are the ones that caught it. YK Stories number 9. My boyfriend told me he started dating me to bully his brother. I 24F normally live with my boyfriend 25M, but spending the week with my cousin who lives about an hour away. BTW BF and I been together 2 years. BF has been reaching out to me via text every day, saying how much he misses me. Yesterday we FaceTimed and he said he can't wait for me to come back. I laughed and said that it's only been a week. He paused and randomly said, "Crazy that I only started dating you because of my brother and I actually love you now." That wasn't the plan, haha. He was laughing and reminiscing as if it's all a fond memory. I got confused and asked him to explain. He grinned and said that his brother 24M had a massive crush on me back then. For some context, I met both at gym. My BF worked there as a personal trainer and still does. He said that he used to tease his brother about it. He was like, "I made it my personal mission to have you." I was like, WTF? So you started dating me to show off to your brother? He put his hand up and said, "Hey, it's not as bad as it sounds." He explained that he found me physically attractive, though he admitted he didn't like my attitude. So sleeping with me to bully his brother wasn't a big hurdle. I was so pissed and confused, but he said that it's not a big deal, and that I need to calm down, etc. We hung up and had this text back and forth. I'm still so pissed and in disbelief. I feel like my entire relationship was based on a lie, and I don't even know what's real anymore. Text messages, me, so help me understand. You seriously only started dating me because you wanted to make feel bad? Am I hearing this right? Yes, me. Why? What kind of person does this? It's so fucked up. It's not that bad. He was obsessed with you and it was funny to take what he wanted so desperately. It's a brother's thing, lol me. So it's a brother's thing to hurt each other? Do you even like me? Don't get me wrong. It started as a prank, but I fell in love with you. Yes, you had an attitude, but that only made it more brains out. Haha, don't think now that none of this is real. It is real, and I'm not lying to you, babe. Not anymore. I wouldn't still be here if I didn't like you. Me so had a crush on me, and he was obsessed according to you. Instead of being supportive of your brother, you decided to make a move on me just to make him feel worse, and you see nothing wrong with that? You know this tells me everything I need to know about you as a person. Are you a sociopath? What's fucked up is that he's a nice person, and literally the least deserving of this fucked up treatment you're giving him. I can't believe what I'm hearing and reading, and you think all of this is normal. Why pity him? Lol, he's fat. He's in his room 24/7, never had a GF. He's a loser. Losers don't get nice things. I mean, all he can do is jerk to you. Haha, if he wanted you, he should have been a man, don't you think? No one forced your hand. You wanted me because I made your tingle. He simped from the distance, hoping you would give him a chance. But you're a woman, so I don't expect you to understand. OP replying to losers don't get nice things. So I'm a thing. Now why are you speaking of me as if I'm some object to brag about? Just stop texting me now. I don't want to hear anything from you, babe. You're making this a bigger deal than it is. It's just a funny memory. It's just a brother's thing. No big deal, babe. Simon PMS. He's a kiss-less overweight virgin. If I don't teach him life lessons, who will? I'm doing him a favor. He should be thanking me. Me. Stop texting me or I'll block you. I need some time to myself. Comments. Commenter 1. Enor. Your BF is an asshole. Just look at his tone and how he talks about his brother. Well, you really were a thing for him. He would have left you long ago if he didn't fall in love with you. Seriously, no matter how I think TS crazy F. Commenter 2. Also how he talks about you, OP. You wanted me because I made your tingle. All he can do is jerk to you. That's so gross, honestly. My husband has never spoken to me like this. Commenter 3. And then accusing her of having PMS? What an AH commenter. 4. When I saw that bit, I saw red. OMG. My husband would be close to meeting Jesus if he said that. This whole interaction is so gross. And she wouldn't understand because she's a woman? No, buddy, I think she very much understands. Commenter 5. This is 100% not a brother thing. I'd move heaven and earth for my bro. Update. I broke up with my BF and planning on moving out, going back to my sister's place, while I figure out what to do next. I canceled my gym membership at the gym he works at BC. I don't want to see his face anymore. I texted his brother that I found out everything because my ex was stupid enough to confess his stupid scheme, like I wouldn't dump him over it. I told his brother that I'm sorry for the hurt he's been through, and that I'm always here to listen if he wants to talk. Edit. Can y'all stop telling me to have sex with his brother? It's getting weird if real life is not porn, you weirdos. Comments commenter. 100% correct decision. Your ex is a manipulative pause, and might even be dangerous to be around. Not necessarily violent, but people like this have a tendency to be reckless both physically and emotionally. Strong move, OP, stay away from that. Ahole. Commenter 2. Great update, OP. Your relationship was built on an incredibly insensitive and manipulative act. When someone shows you who they really are, believe them. Glad you put him in your rearview mirror. When he comes begging for you to come back, don't fall for it. He misses his bangmaid and girlfriend appliance, so take that as it really is. In all honesty, please stay far away from that family because the damage probably runs deep. Commenter 3. I saw this update posted a minute ago. I'm sure this will be hard, but it's the right call, OP. Good luck going forward. Commenter 4. Proud of you. OP, I know on Reddit everyone jumps to the vengeful, spiteful course of action, sleeping W his brother, which would quite literally be just repeating the cycle, sleeping with someone to hurt someone else. I can't imagine how horrific this is for you, but you absolutely made the right decision. I don't know if you had friends in common, or if you knew your ex's friends, but I would 1000% guarantee that his friends knew about the scheme, and maybe even joke with them about how falling in love with you, not the plan, was. I think it was sweet of you to check in with his brother, though I don't know if you should keep in contact with him in case your ex uses him as a leverage piece to get you to contact him. Especially if he knows you really empathize with his brother. He is obviously cruel, and will probably take it out on his brother if he gets access to you in any way, even just texting, while he cannot. Overall, I think this blowing up in his face is the perfect revenge, because now he will actually be hurt, losing you if he really did fall in love with you. I totally understand you questioning whether he actually did fall in love with you, that is, and maybe believing that to protect your peace and move on is the right move. Please give updates if you feel comfortable. We are all rooting for you. Glad you have a place to say, I'm sorry about all of this, but better it comes out now than 5 more years from now. Stories. Number 10. My coworker found my panty liner that I forgot to throw away, took a picture, and showed it to other coworkers and the principal. So today on my way home, I received a call from a coworker asking me if I left a panty liner in the bathroom. Since I was the last one to use the bathroom and almost everyone saw me coming out, I embarrassingly said yes, and was hoping she'd say she's the one that found it. But she said one of our colleagues found it and took a picture and showed everyone that was still at work, and they all said it was me and had a discussion about it. So she just wanted to give me a heads up. I'm so embarrassed and hurt because it was really a mistake. I'm usually very careful about things like these. There was no water in our block, so we had to use the other block's toilet, and it doesn't have a bin for sanitary products. So I thought I threw the panty liner in the toilet and flushed it, but it apparently fell on the floor and I didn't see it since I was in a rush. It's not the first time that I've forgotten something, and it was a big issue. Last time I forgot to put back a chair I was using because when I left, someone else was sitting on it. So one of my colleagues took a picture and sent it to our workgroup chat and mentioned me, telling me to pack up next time. It's an all-female workplace, so I thought there would be a lot of support from other women. But I get nasty looks and cold shoulders from them sometimes, and almost all these ladies are older than me. I'm just very hurt right now, and now it's going to be brought up tomorrow. What should I do or say? Comments. Commenter 1. Your coworkers are assholes. You should find a new job if at all possible. Commenter 2. Just so you know, panty liners are not flushable. Neither are tampons or anything else except plain dry toilet paper. It sucks, but if there isn't a trash can in that bathroom, wrap it thick and get it to another trash can. Commenter 3. I'm so sorry this happened to you. How awful. That is clearly bullying behavior designed to humiliate you. What's your manager like? Could you approach them? Stories number 11. Someone tried to steal our campsite. And now with an update. See the bottom of the post. We've got a good group of friends, and we camp together every year for Labor Day. 7 adults, 4 kids, 3 cars. We pay extra for the third car and are under the per-person maximum per site. Reservations open 11 months in advance. We book the same large site every year 11 months in advance. This is, hands down, the best site in the campground. Pull through for the camper, off by itself. Huge space, set off from the road, facing the woods. A++ site. Some of the sites are much smaller. I was the first to arrive at the campground at about 9 p.m. Friday night. Every site is full, except for one. And it isn't ours. It's the next site over, and it's a site that clearly can't fit a 32-way trailer. We're kinda in Methlahoma out here, and this trailer was probably made in the 80s, so I'm pretty nervous when I go up to knock on the door. I immediately drop into my best Oklahoma accent and go full Southern lady. I'm terribly sorry to bother y'all, but here's my reservation email, and I think y'all are in my site. Oh no, this is the site we booked. Well, ma'am, would y'all mind if I looked at your reservation email? If they double booked us, we'll figure it out. Oh, let us find the email. They close the door. I wait 10 minutes. They don't pop out. I go ahead and call the ranger. They'll be here in 30 minutes. I wait 10 more minutes and knock on their door again. Were y'all able to find that email? Well, do we go to their website? No, it should be in your email. Well, what do you want us to do? We have kids asleep in the... Here. Ma'am, my kids are asleep in the car, so I get it. We won't fit into that other site. If we can't get into this one, we won't have a space to sleep tonight. They still can't find the email. My friend finally pulls up with their trailer. The ranger came right after. Magically, they somehow find the email. They're supposed to be in the tiny site. They are now appealing to the ranger. Oh, we're supposed to leave tomorrow morning. Can't we just stay here? It's so much work to back in a trailer for just one night. Okay, we can compromise. Okay, we'll find somewhere else tonight if you can be out by 7 a.m. tomorrow so that we can get in. How about 11? That's checkout time. Nope. This is our site. We'll be nice, but we've got a full day tomorrow, and we need to be set up by 8 a.m. That's so early. We have kids, but I guess we can be out by then. The ranger sees right through the potential drama that would happen at 7 a.m. the next morning and says, "No, you need to go ahead and move tonight. But we have sleeping kids." The ranger points to me. "So does she. You need to move." Much cussing and grumbling, but they finally move their RV. Takes them a solid 45 minutes to get it slotted into that microscopic site. And here we are, Sunday afternoon, and their loud kids and their off-leash rat dogs are still in the site next door. The sites are fairly well spaced, so at least it's muted by the trees. Yesterday morning, one of the kids screams, "Why aren't we in the nice site anymore?" The mom, "Maybe grandma?" I honestly was reading a book and not looking. Then screams back, "Well, those people over there took our site. Should have booked earlier, my friends. Normally we cook more food that we can eat and share with our neighbors. Nope, no steak for you." Update, Monday afternoon. Checkout time was 11. When we left, our friends were still there with no signs of packing up. So to no one's surprise, the "we're leaving tomorrow" line was total BS. There were 3 adults in the site that we saw. 1 man, 1 older woman, and another woman who was maybe mid-40s, plus a handful of small children. The older lady was by far the more argumentative of them, but the whole interaction never escalated beyond passive-aggressive comments. The younger lady was quieter. Shock of all shocks, the younger of the 2 women came up to us yesterday evening and apologized for the other women's behavior. We told her it was a bad idea, but she wouldn't listen. She wanted the bigger site. She always tries to pull crap like this. She was extremely apologetic, so all's well that ends well. We lost an hour or so at the beginning of our trip, but had an amazing weekend with friends. We got a story out of it, and the neighbors didn't try to slash our tires. A successful weekend. Happy camping to y'all. Comments. Commenter 1. The ranger has defo dealt with their kind before. Commenter 2. No doubt the ranger knew he'd have to come out again in the morning if they didn't move immediately. Commenter 3. Our family had a specific spot that we always booked every year for the last 2 weeks in August. Without fail, my parents booked the site about a year in advance. 1 large trailer, van, 2 huge tents, 4x4 truck, bicycles, etc., for 4 adults and 4 kids. Close to the lake but far enough that we couldn't hear all the squealing from kids having the time of their life in the lake. No adults yelling at their kids. All around an awesome vacation before heading back to school in September. The last year we all went camping, we pulled up to our reserved site to find 10 people with trailers, tent, all their camping gear set up, and we were a little confused. My dad and my uncle went to speak with the adults in charge to let them know that they were in our reserved spot. The one adult, big guy, total jerk, kept threatening my dad and uncle that if they didn't leave then they would have the shit kicked out of them. My dad and uncle are no little pipsqueaks. Both fit, athletic, football and baseball players, hunters, fishermen, etc. They looked at each other and decided that they didn't want to go to jail that night, so they called the Rangers. I had never heard someone swear so much and so loudly before then. Rangers just told them that rather than having them move from our site to the tiny one they reserved, they were to pack up and leave immediately. They ended up getting kicked out, and we had an awesome 2 weeks. Stories number 12 AIO for wanting to see a therapist after wife changed the locks because I went to a baby shower. Wife and I are both 30. Tried to have our first baby for 4 failed cycles and decided to take a break for a few cycles because we were taking it pretty hard. It's been 3 months since we tried. Meanwhile, my little sister is pregnant with her first baby, which I'm very excited for. My wife was too at first. First slide is me asking why she RSVP'd no to the baby shower 2 hours away without talking to me first. After talking that night, she said I could go to shower and seemed supportive. Said she was just in her feelings. Second slide is the week of the shower. We had therapy the next day, after which wife was once again supportive of me going. Other than saying she'd miss me. I went up a day early to spend more time with family. Nothing seemed off. Third slide was a bomb drop I got at the shower. Fourth slide, I still don't know what fuck all happened, but she changed the locks to our house. We had a big argument when she came back to let me in, and she insisted this was worse than me cheating on her. It's been almost a week since then. We've been to therapy again. She saw her doctor. Neither of them seem too concerned because she's acting normal now, and even wants to TTC again. I told her I scheduled a first session with my own therapist because I'm hurt, and I don't want to talk to her, much less try for a baby until I work through this myself. She said I'm overreacting because she made it right. Immediately came home and let me in the house, and hasn't brought up how she feels about the shower since that night, except for in therapy. Comments. Commenter 1. So you guys TTC'd for 4 months, took a break for 3, and then she locked you out of the house for not skipping a super special life moment with your own sister after you guys had talked about it a bunch? Unless there's more to this story, you are nor. And I would want to understand from her therapist and doctor why they aren't concerned with such erratic behavior. That isn't to say there can't be some explanation, or that you shouldn't give her time to work through her feelings, but if she's coming out of this with the sense she didn't do anything wrong here, that feels like the wrong takeaway. Support, validation, and respect are two-way streets. And in those text exchanges, I really only see one of you trying to understand and support the other one. Reply: appreciate this because no one else seeing anything wrong here makes me feel insane. Her mom called her on it a little bit, but the doctor and therapist said they'd be concerned if she locked me out and kept me locked out. Since she came right home and let me in, it was a momentary lapse of judgment. Commenter 2. Info. So you were just trying to conceive naturally and stopped after only 4 months? I don't get it. Why? It takes most people much longer than 4 months to conceive a child. It's completely normal for couples your age to take as long as a year to conceive, if they are having sex every 2 or 3 days at least. If she is that desperate to conceive, why did she stop doing the one thing that will make her conceive? Commenter 3. I was thinking the same thing. Yes, it can be disappointing when you aren't successful conceiving right away, but it is normal that it could take up to a year. Her reaction to you wanting to go to your sister's shower is way over the top, and not remotely the behavior of someone in their right mind. It would be different if you had struggled through years of fertility issues, or she had just had a miscarriage. Then I could understand her being upset and having a hard time celebrating your sister. That said, changing the locks is next-level vindictive and crazy based on the info you have given. Commenter 4. The whole time I thought you guys maybe had a miscarriage. I get being disappointed, but 4 months TTC is not long at all. If she is acting this unhinged, I would consider a lot more therapy before even thinking about kids. Her actions are absolutely unreal. ETA dang, don't think I've ever gotten an award before. Thank you. Reply, I don't know if I would have been able to go to a baby shower if we were 3 months off of a miscarriage, so I'd completely understand. Her POV, actually, I probably wouldn't because I know it's different for a mother, but even, I've wondered if this is normal. We have friends who are TTC, and to my knowledge, they aren't taking it this hard. Commenter 5. Until I read your caption, I assumed you'd recently experienced a late miscarriage or even a stillbirth. Possibly that you were years into failed IVF, or had recently come to terms with infertility and stopped hoping to conceive. That she's this unhinged after a few months. I would be seriously concerned that she's emotionally resilient enough to handle pregnancy, postpartum, or parenting. 4 months is nothing in the conception journey. It's maybe at the stage to check with a doctor to ensure you both understand the mechanics of cycle timing, but no way you're even eligible to start fertility testing until a year. That she's grieving is revealing either grossly unrealistic expectations, in which case what happens if pregnancy, postpartum, or parenting ever deviate from her imagined ideal, or that she's deliberately wallowing fire attention, in which case how could she possibly handle baby becoming the center of attention and having priority in caring for their needs over her whims. Add on that, she wants to deliberately alienate the people who would be your village and sabotage any possible future extended family relationships for your hoped-for child. Then that her response is to silently kick you out of your home? It's unhinged. I'm no stranger to the pain of infertility and the heartbreak of a period yet again. I don't gatekeep her right to be sad. But the way she's expressing that emotion is so far beyond crazy pants that I want to know if she has other red flags of totally disproportionate emotional reactions. As you've described it, there is not a chance would I want to sign an innocent, vulnerable baby up for a lifetime of someone this selfish, this lacking in perspective, and this volatile as their mother. Update. AIO for wanting to see a therapist. After wife changed the locks because I went to a baby shower? First I'll answer a few FAQ from the first post. She does have a diagnosis of panic disorder, hence why she's in therapy and has a psychiatrist, but she hasn't had a panic attack in quite some time. No, we did not show her therapist the texts yet. I joined her therapy appointment for the first 15-20 minutes, and they're only 45-minute sessions, so not much time to cover everything. Her therapist, per my wife, said she was in the wrong, but she didn't think there was anything emergent because she came home and fixed the problem right away. Okay, the update. Knowing my wife, she doesn't always hear how she comes off. So I started by sitting her down and reading our text conversations out loud to her, then let her sit with it for a bit. After about 5 minutes of silence, she started crying and said she was a monster and didn't recognize herself. I asked her why that might be, and she offered some concerns that I think are genuine. She works in an office, and she said 4 of her co-workers are pregnant, 2 have started maternity leave, and for the last couple of weeks she's been covering a lot for both of them, so she's been very stressed. I knew she'd been working longer hours, but didn't know how much it was stressing her out. Her parents are extremely pushy about her having kids. They've made comments to us before, which I kind of wrote off as normal, excited first time grandparents-to-be, but she showed me texts from both of them in their family group chat in the last few months, and they've been sending her quite a few articles about fertility, parenting, etc. One text even said, "Are you actually trying? Or are you just teasing us?" Which clearly hurt her. She shared this with her therapist several sessions ago but never mentioned it to me. She said she's afraid she's projecting her parents' frustration with her onto me, and subconsciously felt like I'll leave her if we don't have kids soon, so she might have been lashing out to push me away before I could push her away. And she acknowledged that's wrong of her. We've agreed to take a few more months off of trying, 1, so her work stress can eventually decrease, and 2, so we as a team can set some boundaries with her parents. My wife has agreed she's not going to give them trying updates, and we will just tell them whenever we're ready to announce a pregnancy someday. I asked her if she realized she went psycho, and she said yes, saying she broke, and doesn't even remember making some of the decisions she made. But she's very remorseful, and I believe her. I'm booking with my own therapist, and she is going to continue with hers. Eventually we may add a couples therapist, but time and money aren't unlimited. She did resume working on the baby blanket she started for our incoming nephew, which she hasn't touched in months. I've kind of left her alone and notice she cries every so often. I'll give her a hug when I notice. She cooked dinner for the first time in a while. We've been so busy we've been surviving on frozen meals and DoorDash. This update will probably disappoint those who wanted us to divorce immediately. But it is what it is. The dust is still settling, but I feel like some mending is occurring. Comments. Commenter. 1. I'm glad to hear this update. When I read the first post, it seemed like a situation that could be handled if your wife was willing to accept the fact that she was clearly in the wrong, and you come across as someone who would know when that point has passed. I mentioned in a comment that the stress she's putting on herself probably pushed her reaction, and it makes sense that it was coming from an external source too. JL. It seems like a very silly and short-sighted idea to get pregnant when so many coworkers are, and she's covering part of their work. I can't believe she actually wanted to be pregnant while doing extra work already. It leads me to believe even more that the research going into this process was a little lacking in general, and again, makes sense if it was driven by external pressure from parents. Commenter 2. Her parents need to fuck off. What horrid shitheads. Reply, yeah, I always say my wife is tiny but mighty, except when it comes to them. I have a feeling that when we sit down with them, I will be the one laying down the law, which I'm prepared to do, because that pissed me the hell off. She might be a monster right now, but that's my monster. Damn it. Commenter 3. Does she understand that 4 months of trying isn't very long at all? And does this taking a break from trying mean no sex? You guys need to have a healthy sex life for general happiness, but also to make babies. Babies just happen all the time from regular intimacy and not just from trying. She might be a monster right now, but that's my monster, damn it. This is so endearing, Lowell. I wish you both the best. Reply. We haven't had time for spontaneous sex lately, but it's not something we're avoiding. Just need to break from all of the tracking and baby dancing loyal stories. Number 13. My wife unlocked her social media and started posting provocative pics. I don't know if I'm paranoid or if this is a red flag. I'm 44, my wife is 36. We've been married for 12 years and we have a child together. I always thought our relationship was stable. Not perfect, but strong enough to handle the usual ups and downs. But lately something has changed, and honestly it's been bothering me. My wife used to have private social media accounts, mostly sharing family trips, birthdays, or just casual life updates. A few months ago, she suddenly unlocked her profile and started posting way more pictures. Some of them are, let's just say, more provocative than I've ever seen her share before. She's dressing more revealing, putting on more makeup, even when there's no special reason for it. Of course, everyone has the right to feel confident and show off if they want to. I get that. But it feels less like self-confidence and more like she's actively seeking attention and not just mine. People, mostly guys, leave comments and likes, and she seems to really enjoy the attention. I'm not jealous in the controlling husband sense, but I can't help but feel uneasy. If she needs this kind of validation, does that mean something is missing in our marriage? I don't want to accuse her or make a scene, but I also don't want to bury my head in the sand. I keep wondering if this is just a phase, like she's trying to feel young and attractive again, or if it's the start of something that could really damage us. I love her. I love our family. But I'd be lying if I said I wasn't worried. Is this a red flag, or am I just overthinking it? TL. DR. I'm 44. My wife is 36. After 12 years of marriage and a child together, she suddenly unlocked her social media, started posting provocative pics, dressing more revealing and enjoying attention from other men. I'm not trying to be controlling, but it worries me. Not sure if it's just a phase or a red flag for something bigger. Forgot to add, I asked her about it in a calm way. Basically like, hey, I've noticed you unlocked your social media and started posting more provocative photos. You look great, but it's something new for you, so I just wanted to check in. She told me she's been feeling like she lost herself in the routine of being a mom and a wife, and that this is her way of feeling attractive and confident again. She said it's not about other guys, and that she still loves me and our family, but she enjoys the attention because it reminds her she's more than just a mom. I want to believe her, and maybe that really is all there is to it, but part of me still worries if it's the start of something bigger. That's the reason why I'm asking here. Comments. Commenter 1. Hey, the mother of my kids and partner for 10 years did the exact same thing right before having a full-blown affair. Commenter 2. She's posting thirst traps for attention and validation from other men. You know they're sliding into her DMs too. What she's doing is not innocent. Commenter 3100% a red flag, and men are messaging her. Address it now. See if she trusts you to look at her phone. Cheatbuster AI, etc. Has she started insulting you? Commenter 4. Seen this happen over and over again. Have some money in savings for a divorce lawyer. It always starts with them claiming they need to find themselves or reclaim their power or some crap. If she's enjoying all those comments, it's likely she's having private conversations with men through DM too. Stories number 14 AITA for refusing to cover up when my roommate's brother came over. I, 19F, live in an off-campus apartment with my roommate, also 19F. We get along okay, but she's a bit more conservative than me. I'm pretty comfortable at home in shorts and tank tops, sometimes just a sports bra if it's hot. Last weekend, her older brother 22M came to stay for a night because he had something in town. Before he arrived, my roommate asked me if I could dress a little more modestly while he was there. I thought she was joking at first, but she was serious. She said she didn't want her brother seeing me like that. I told her flat out that I'm not going to change how I dress in my own apartment just because her brother is visiting. I wasn't planning on walking around naked or anything, but like, it's literally 90 degrees here, and I'm not putting on jeans in my own home. When he came over, I wore shorts and a cropped tee like I normally do. He didn't say anything, but my roommate kept giving me looks. Later, she told me I was being disrespectful and purposely trying to make him look. I honestly wasn't. I don't even care about her brother like that. Now she's telling people I was being inappropriate and making her uncomfortable, and some of our mutual friends are saying I should have just thrown on a hoodie to keep the peace. Atta for refusing to cover up in my own apartment? Comments. Commenter 1. Totally not the a-hole. It's your place as much as theirs. Just be you and comfortable. They gotta understand and respect that. Commenter 2. And Taylet. Her tell people you were inappropriate. You know you weren't. You didn't disrespect anyone, however. She disrespected you and your desire to be comfortable in your own home. Ask your mutual friends why you should have had to cover up in your own home. You were covered. You could walk down the street in what you were wearing and no one would bat an eye. You shouldn't have to be uncomfortable for her and her brother. It is not a woman's responsibility to dress in a certain way to control men and their reactions to a woman's body. That is 100% on the male to control themselves. If a man can't control himself around tank tops and cutoffs, they need to get help. Stories. Number 15. My friend asked me to cook for her dinner party, but now won't pay me back for the food, so I 29F genuinely love cooking. It's my biggest hobby, and I'm the type of person who will happily spend an entire Sunday trying out a new recipe or hosting a small dinner for friends. Usually when I host, I don't ask anyone for money because it's my event, my treat, and I enjoy it. A couple weeks ago, my friend Sarah, 31F, asked me if I could cook for a dinner party she was throwing at her house. She wanted to invite her coworkers and a few friends, and she specifically told me she wanted my cooking to impress them. I said sure, but I made it clear up front that since it was her event and not mine, she'd need to cover the cost of ingredients. She said that was fine. I went all out. I planned a menu, shopped at multiple stores to get good quality ingredients, and spent most of the day cooking. I made appetizers, a main course, sides, and even a dessert. The food turned out great, the guests loved it, and she even got a ton of compliments about how amazing everything tasted. After the party, I gave her the receipt for the groceries, about $150. This wasn't me charging for my time or effort. It was literally just the cost of the ingredients. Sarah looked surprised and said she didn't expect it to be that much. I explained that feeding 10+ people with fresh, good-quality food adds up quickly. She then said she thought I would just cover it as a gift since I love cooking. I reminded her that I had told her up front that she'd need to pay for ingredients. She got defensive and called me tacky for nickel-and-diming her over dinner. Now she's acting cold toward me and making comments in our group chat about how some people just don't know how to be generous. A couple of mutual friends are saying she's being unreasonable, but another friend said maybe I should have just eaten the cost to avoid drama, so now I'm second-guessing myself. I didn't think it was out of line to ask her to cover the actual cost of the food since it wasn't my party, and I spent a whole day cooking for her guests. But maybe I came across as too transactional? Aita for asking my friend to pay me back for the food? Comments. Commenter. 1. Your friend essentially hired a caterer and then failed to make payment. TF. Who willingly and spontaneously gifts someone $150 worth of food and then provides the free labor to cook it, after having clearly expressed that the receipt for the food will be submitted for repayment? Nobody. That's who. Your friend is ghastly, greedy, and hella gauche. NTA commenter. 2. NTA. She never intended to pay you. Food for a party is not cheap, and $150 is a steal. She is not your friend. Commenter. 3. NTA. But you should have had her pay for the ingredients up front. Lesson learned. She is the bad guy here. You are my friend, so you should do it for free. Doesn't fly. If she was really your friend, she wouldn't expect you to fund her dinner party. Commenter. 4. NTA. I gave you the friend discount. I didn't charge you at all for the labor. Normally this would cost dollars, but I told you I would only charge for ingredients. Please pay me for the money I spent on ingredients. The labor was a gift. Stories. Number 16. How should I handle this situation? A male friend is trashing my boyfriend behind my back. I 23F started dating my boyfriend 27M a little over a month ago. I've known him for over a year. He's my friend Angela's older brother. I first met him last year at a party Angela was having. I had met Angela in high school, but not her brother was serving in the Navy when I first met her. Well, I can admit I was immediately interested in him the day we met. I could go into details as to why, but let's just say I thought from that first meeting that he was pretty great. We ran into each other from time to time over the last year, and finally we both admitted that we were attracted to each other. We've been dating ever since. Recently I changed my profile pic in my social media to one of the two of us. A male friend of mine recently asked me if I was dating Angela's loser brother. I got angry with him and let him know I didn't. Appreciate his comment. My boyfriend is not a loser. In fact, he has a good-paying job and owns his own house. Now I hear from a mutual friend that this guy was trashing my boyfriend to her, saying he doesn't know what I see in him and that he's a loser. How should I approach this situation? The friend of mine is a guy I've known since we were in high school. I feel like I need to say something to him. He's wrong to be talking about my boyfriend the way he is. Should I call him out on it? Top comment. Commenter. He's definitely jealous and mad cause he never had the balls to approach you. Call him out, and if he can't respect your wishes, cut him off. Update 1. I talked to a mutual friend of ours named Teddy, and he confirmed that this guy Eric has always had a thing for me. I never knew. He never said anything, and even if he had, I was never into him in that way. Teddy said Eric was really jealous that I'd started dating my boyfriend. I finally worked up the nerve to call Eric and tell him I knew what he was saying about my boyfriend and that I didn't appreciate it. He went on a pretty unhinged rant about how unfair it is that a guy like him can get a girl and he can't. To be honest, it was kind of sad. Not sad in a way that I felt sorry for him, sad as in pathetic. He built this whole non-existent thing between us up in his head, and now he's angry that it's not real. I just politely asked him to please stop talking about my boyfriend since he really doesn't know him at all. Again, he kind of went into this self-pitying rant that was really off-putting, and I told him we were friends, and that's all we'd ever be. He told me there is no such thing as a guy who wants to just be friends with a girl. So I asked if he had only been friends with me because he thought I might fuck him someday. He pretty much said that was the only reason. At that point I ended the conversation and hung up. I'm really disappointed because I've known this guy since I was 16, and he'd always been a part of my friend group. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. I'm sorry. It sounds like you got a peek behind the curtain, and it wasn't pretty. Reply, kind of. Scary, but also it got me angry. He doesn't even know my boyfriend. But he's got it in his head that he's not worthy of dating me, and he's not a good person. Commenter 2. Has nothing about your boyfriend, he's just a jealous fuckboy. Commenter 3. Please be sure to tell your boyfriend and warn your friend group. This guy might pull a weird-ass stunt to make you out to be a bad person, just to get pity or make himself look better. I'm sorry he's a shitty person. And yes, people can be friends with others without hoping for sexual rewards. Sounds like he was never a friend and you'll be better off. Reply, I will talk with my boyfriend about it when I see him tomorrow. He's been on a camping trip with his brother and some friends of theirs this week. The whole thing is so odd. One good thing about my friend group is that my boyfriend's sister is also one of my best friends, and I don't think any of them will buy into anything he tries to sell them about either of us. Update 2. I had to wait until after work to talk to my boyfriend about this situation. He was returning from a camping trip today and was driving all morning to get home. After work I went over to his place to see him. He seemed pretty tired from his long drive, and to be honest I was just happy to see him since I hadn't seen him since Saturday. So for a while we just talked about his trip and my week at work, and made out a bit. Like I said, we hadn't seen each other since Saturday. Finally I told him about this situation with this guy Eric. I told him about what he had been saying and our phone conversation. My boyfriend's only response was, who? He had no idea who Eric even is. He knows he's a friend of mine and his sister, but that's about it. He said much of the same stuff that commenters on here did. That this guy is jealous, and it's strange that he seems obsessed with me. He's not going to do something dumb like beat him up for talking shit, but he did say if Eric started talking shit about me, there might be a problem. I also spoke to my best friend who is my boyfriend's sister, and she's pretty much done with Eric too because of what he was saying about her brother. As far as the rest of our friends, I'm not going to encourage them to stop being his friend. That's their call and not mine. But from now on I certainly am not going to be going to get together where he is. I have blocked him on all my social media and blocked his phone number too. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. Just be careful. I feel like Eric is totally gonna be a future stalker. Reply, I'm going to try to avoid him as much as I can for sure. I'm also going to have to talk to mutual friends about what happened. I want to let them know I don't want him digging for info on me through them. I'm sick of guys who pretend to be your friend because they think it'll lead to sex. July 6, 2021. Since I started dating my current boyfriend, I've lost 2 friends who have not been able to deal with the fact that I didn't pick one of them to date. One guy, Eric, was really angry and started to trash talk about my boyfriend. I confronted him over it and we had a huge argument. So he sent me a series of nasty messages over Facebook. I responded in kind because he pissed me off so badly. Now another friend, Teddy, is telling me it's my fault because I should have given Eric a chance. He said Eric put his time in with me and I should have at least gone on one date. I told him I never wanted to date Eric in the first place. He said again that I should have at least given him a chance. This pissed me off all over again, and I angrily told him women are not amusement park rides, where you get a chance to ride as long as you wait long enough. So after getting my heart broken last year, I finally started dating a guy who makes me happy, and 2 friends have decided that I did something awful. I told Teddy that they both need to grow the fuck up. If all you want to do is bang a chick, make it clear up front. Don't pretend you're their buddy. At least it'll prevent them from wasting their time with a fake friend, and you won't have to waste your time on a woman who's not into you that way. Final comments. Commenter 1. No one owes anyone a meth date because they feel that they put their time in. LOL, get lost, dude. Take your L and move on. Commenter 2. As a dude, I cannot fathom that these dudes exist. Like, how do you go from being born, being a toddler chasing butterflies and bees, grow up and be this nauseating? Where does it go wrong? Commenter 3. Very common. Happened to me twice. Both times men were friends. Asked me out, I said I wanted to be friends, they were cool with it. yet hated every time I went on a date with someone. Both ended up ghosting me overnight. No more male friends for me. Commenter 4. I dated one of these guys. We were best friends, and then he professed his love and basically guilted me into giving him a chance. It ended with him being so suffocating and overbearing that I didn't even want to be his friend anymore. I was so happy to break up with him. Commenter 5. Edit. Shit, girls. I'm so sorry you had and have to deal with this toxic bullshit. Some predatory behavior, and no one should be subjected to that. It makes you question everything all the time, every intention and every social relation. PTSDs are made of things like these. I don't even know where to start to remedy a situation like this. I try to do my part by bullshit checking my friends and acquaintances if they come up with some sexist joke or remark, and explain to them why it's bad for everyone. Stories number 17 AITA for telling my ex's parents why we broke up, and her kid is not mine. So this is an update of my last post. So recap, my friends show a photo and videos of my ex cheating in Japan during her girls' trip at my birth month, last March. You can read it in my profile if you want. She tried to contact me the last few days until 2 days ago she stopped, so earlier this day, she went to my house with her parents and dropped a bomb. She is pregnant and her parents were so happy that, according to them, they will have their first grandbaby. I asked my ex if she didn't tell them. Her parents asked, "Told them what?" I told them everything, from her telling me to wait till marriage, to the time she cheated in Japan, and how our friends showed me her affair, and her threats of ending herself. Her mom started being hysterical. She has told me I was lying, and asked that if I wasn't the father, then who was it? I told them to ask her. But she doubled down and said I was the only one she had sex with. I said we never had sex and said I am not the father. I asked how many months was the baby in her womb. She said 5 months, almost 6. I told them that she got pregnant at March, the month she went to Japan. I felt bad for the looks her parents gave her. They looked disappointed at her and ashamed. Her father then stood up and asked her who the real father was. She keeps telling it was me, until her mother looked at her and said stop digging a bigger hole. She said she didn't know, and even said it was a one-time thing and is a virgin before and after she went to Japan. My brother finally had enough and said, "Who in the world was she joking, and are the 3 wise men returning?" She told us it was the truth and started spouting nonsense and told me it was the truth. I just told her to get a DNA test. She just told me sure, and she walked away. Her dad just sighed and apologized for her daughter. Her mom looked at me and said to me she believes me and she will talk to her daughter. I just said I know that the kid is not mine, so I am not afraid. They said they believe me and will not ask to support the child during the pregnancy. They just want me to relax and look for some DNA testing clinics. I said I will, and they said that if the kid is not mine, they will reimburse me the cash that is needed. Right now, I am researching about DNA testing clinics here in the Philippines, and if it is possible for it to be done before the child is born. However, my ex posted something about deadbeat fathers, and how some parents will believe others, but not their own daughter. Comments. Commenter 1. The good news is that the paternity test will solve everything. She can vague post all she likes on social media. If any flying monkeys try to come after you, then all you'll need to do is announce the paternity test results, and that ex cheated, hence you broke up. But good luck to her finding whoever she slept with. They'd be hard-pressed to argue with that. Reply, thanks. I am still searching for some clinics near me. I know the kid is not mine. None of her friends are even siding with her. I feel bad for her. Commenter 2. I believe prenatal DNA testing is possible but needs the consent of the mother blood work. If your ex wants to drag out the drama, you may need to wait until the baby is born. She sounds like she needs a big reality check, if no one believes her, and she's still sticking to her stupid story. Reply, yup, she is still sticking with her story and no one believes her. Commenter 3, NTA. Obviously. Look into non-invasive prenatal paternity testing NIPP. It is completely safe, only requiring a blood sample from the mother and a cheek swab from you. No need for any drama here. Just get the test, prove you're not the father, then move on with your life. Reply, really? I will try to search more about it. Thank you very much. Commenter 4. Good luck to you. I saw in your other comment that you feel bad for her, and I understand. She made a terrible choice that will have permanent consequences on her life. But her response to this situation is quite revealing. She could accept her mistake with grace and humility. Instead, she is responding with hostility, revealing her true character. In a way, she did you a favor. This is not a woman you want to share a life with. Reply, thanks a lot. It feels awesome that more in the comments are being cool with my situation and helping me find ways. Stories number 18 Aita for telling my wife she makes traveling no fun. So my wife 38F and I 36M have been together 8 years. We live in my home state of Arkansas. She is from San Diego. Every year she wants to visit home. We used to fly, but since we have a kid 2F, she now wants to drive. I have no problem using all my vacation days for this. She lives here. Traveling is a pain because she overpacks. Used to fill my CX-7 full, but work gave me a $900 car allowance, and we used that to get a full-size Suburban. This time she loaded that full. I mean front passenger to the ceiling so I can't see the mirrors full. We didn't use hardly any of it. Every stop I carried everything into the hotel because she was afraid it would get stolen. It's 3 days each. We got through it, told her she makes traveling miserable because she is also super late. Tell her 10 a.m. She might arrive by noon. So every day we don't leave the hotel until 12, then she insists we drive until midnight. Ugh, unfun. Anyway, this weekend I was sent on a work conference. They got me a sweet hotel room, week at a nice resort, super excited. We were going to go and leave the baby. Day before she cancels my mom watching to bring our child. Fills the Suburban full, again. Mind you, it's my work trip. 5 days, 5 nights. Most of the stuff was just overpacking. She brought a tote of blankets, 1 of towels, 2 of her clothes, totes. I told her she makes it miserable. The hotel always gets cluttered and full. The night before we leave is always a mess trying to pack, and her organizing stuff she brought that never gets used. She freaked out, told me I just want to go hook up and cheat at these things I invited here, and she is filing for a divorce because I told her, "You're overpacking and insisting we fill every vehicle full, and always being late makes me miserable." We were 3 hours late leaving to get to the conference, so I missed the networking opening night, which is where, in my industry, people tend to click up afterwards to a degree. I missed going to the best vendor events, etc., because she insisted that I don't leave because she was overwhelmed with how messy the hotel room was. Mind you, it was all the stuff she brought, took out of totes, and never used. And the toddler then destroyed. Aita Reddit. Yes, I am involved in raising our child. I actually packed for our trip. I had 1 bag for baby to go to mom's toys, diapers, food, etc. A big bag but 1 large suitcase. I had a bag packed for wife and 1 for me. Yes, she had ADHD. She always says she doesn't want to do this, then trip comes and she does it. I am not a cheater. She accused me of it last time I went solo. I am exhausted. If she left me, I think I would be done with relationships. My own mental health is wrecked. My boss wasn't mad. He found the whole thing hilarious when I told him. He skipped half of the conference himself. My job wasn't threatened, but to me it was. I tried the whole packing thing for her and me. I have tried to just accept her issues, but it's gotten worse. When we first got together, it was she needed a large checked bag for a 2-day trip to Las Vegas. Now she needs an entire Suburban for a week trip. One of issues is the vehicle is so full. If it was just the back, I might be able to deal. But it's so full I can't even see the side mirror. I've expressed how unsafe that is, and she doesn't care, just yells that I don't understand. Yes, she comes from a hoarder background. Relevant comments. Did Upi's wife have a job and is she still working? Reply. She is a teacher. She stays at home right now thanks to landing an incredible job, but she had a teaching job. Never had issues making it to work that I know of. Commenter 1. Does she always threaten divorce so causally? Next time tell her sure, I'll call the lawyer tomorrow and start that up, and see her face drop at calling her stupid bluff. She sounds really annoying to travel with. Commenter 2. Is she also a hoarder? Because, Commenter 3. I was, thinking that too. OP. Did she grow up in a home where she constantly had to move and leave whatever belongings she had behind? It feels similar to behaviors exhibited by some people that didn't have a lot of food growing up. In adulthood, they tend to hide extra food wherever they go, understandably. Perhaps OP's wife experienced something similar in regards to her belongings. Either way, something is going on. Throwing out divorce like it's nothing is not okay. Was she ever diagnosed with postpartum? NTA reply: no. Her family has lived there since 1870s. The house she grew up in and moved out of to college was built in 1940s. Her family are hoarders, though. Yes, she had postpartum. I got her better help. Found out a few months back she never logged in and met with someone. Commenter 4. Hey man, could you try doing a short trip with her with telling her that the whole point is that you will take care of everything and she only needs to bring a change of clothes? Take her to spa or resort inn where everything you need will already be there. I think sometimes people have travel anxiety and have never attempted to go light, just hers. They're scared they might need something. Do an overnighter first, then start going for more nights away. It might just be that your wife has never tried traveling this way. Reply: we did that a few years ago, right before the kid arrived. Told her some friends were coming to visit. In fact, they were coming to house sit. I had her bag packed, and away we went. She even commented at the time she loved how freeing it was to only have one bag now. For her to go anywhere she needs 4 bags: backpack, diaper bag, purse, and another large bag filled with spare food, extra meds, etc. I didn't realize until today she needs mental health help. Downvoted commenter: she clearly has issues, but you're not responding in a healthy way. YTA saying you make traveling miserable is aggressive and mean. It would be better to say, when you overpack and make us late, I feel stressed. It makes traveling less fun. Or something. Ins, other words. Look up I statements to better express your concerns. This will make your disagreements more productive and less hurtful. If you actually want to fix things instead of just making your wife sad, this is what you have to do. But yeah, it sounds like she needs therapy. She's insecure and jealous. Why? Have you cheated? Or did her exes? She also sounds like she has anxiety, which might lead to overpacking. Her threatening divorce is also an move, regardless of her issues. She needs to handle them just like you need to work on your communication. Reply: her ex cheated on her. I have never cheated. But whenever she gets upset, she tells me to just go be gay and suck a cock, or just go cheat. Was Up's wife miserable with the move from San Diego to Arkansas? Reply: I have wondered that. However, when I asked in the past, she said no. She also hates being back in San Diego for very long. I fly her dad out to visit 2x a year for a week at a time. I really don't think she hates it here. Maybe she does. Has OP's wife been diagnosed? And if she has any hobbies, reply: she was diagnosed with ADHD when she was younger. Used to be on meds, stopped taking them before she met me. She does have anxiety about leaving baby with anyone but my mom. My mom raised my sister's kids, now 22 and 18, so she loves just being grandma to ours with babysitting and weekly visits and some overnights. As for hobbies and couple time, no. She did, but has cut them. I take baby for a walk stroller 45 minutes, a night when I get home so she can breathe. She used to paint, and we built her a studio. She just does it for fun so she could get back into it. However, her entire identity now is being mom. Has UP tried to tell his wife no as an answer? Reply: yes, and it went horribly bad recently. I don't want to fight or yell in front of our kid, so when I say no and she immediately goes to a fight, I back down since our child was born. Not worth my child seeing her parents fight. Mine did, and I am screwed up because of it. Yes, I am a bit of a pushover recently. I don't want my marriage to end, but I work 70 hours a week, so I would like to enjoy my trip time and not have it be cluttered. And home I built shelves and a basement so all stuff can be stored, and I can have an empty, relaxing environment. Does OP's wife have the fear of flying, and was afraid of the restriction on how much luggage she wanted to bring? Reply: that's true. She used to be okay with flying, but over the last 5 years especially it's gotten bad. Update: I told my wife she makes traveling no fun about a month ago. I told my wife she makes traveling no fun. I posted before we left for Our drive home. Since then, it's been a whirlwind. We got home, I wanted to talk. She said we were fine. I called a counselor and got us more couples therapy, and set her up with one who specializes in trauma that causes hoarding. She did not call a lawyer. She threatened again, so I dialed one on her phone and put it on speaker and walked away. Not my best moment. However, since then, we have attended 4 sessions together, and she has went 5x apart. I spent all my savings to hire some people to come in and help her clean for a week. We threw away 2 40YD dumpsters, fairly full of stuff, cleaned, put her car, the one she puts my daughter in daily, out, and established a routine of only her purse and diaper bag go up front, the rest is trunk only. I've had to go through it daily and remove stuff. I once let it go 4 days, and it was full again. We are going to see her family in December. I made it very clear if the vehicle is loaded full. I am going to the airport and flying with our daughter, and she can make the trip herself. We made the packing lists already. The boot of the Suburban can be full, but nothing above the boot cover, and nothing besides a small cooler and purse and diaper bag up front. I bought refundable tickets for my daughter and I to fly to and from San Diego if she fills the vehicle and throws a fit. Now, how is our quality of life? She seems happy. Her family says she is happier than ever. She has always wanted a clean house and car, but fights me when I clean up, even now, as she was about to do it. I am miserable. I am constantly picking up the car, the yard, the house. I let it go 2 days once and got screamed at for sabotaging her. I talked to a lawyer myself, not to move forward but to protect myself. My boss actually has me in line for a promotion, which is great. Only problem is if our marriage ends and she moves back to California, then I would be stuck in a 2-year deal at work, so I am currently very nervous about career advancement when I am miserable personally. Edit. Forgot to add the cheating part. She confessed she was nervous I would cheat because I am not the ugliest guy around and you work hard. So if you hate me, then you would have options. I have no idea if she is cheating, and I am kind of at a point when I don't care. I am 100% checked out. Edit 2. So many responses. Why haven't I cut the cord? Because she is my wife and we said for better or worse. How can I walk away from her when she is not doing okay without giving it the good old college try? Plus I was raised, divorce is not an option. I gave myself until Christmas 2026. If it's not better then, I am pulling the plug. I am picking up every day because counseling said it would help. And also, as people rightfully pointed out last time, my daughter doesn't deserve this. I want a clean home, so I do it myself. Is it defeating to come home every day and the kitchen table is covered with random stuff she got out because she was going to bake, but never did, and the bed is covered with totes of clothes she was going to sort? Sure. Do I want to go through the guest room every 3 days because she destroys it? Not figuratively, but gets stuff out in it, or brings things into it, and I want it to be guest ready at all times. No, I don't. But it's the price I pay. If I don't do it, our house is shit, and our kid doesn't deserve it. If I leave, I am hurting someone with mental illness. All I am doing right now is destroying someone myself. And when I finally walk away, I can honestly say I did my best. Yes, I am documenting her car and the house when I get home and when I leave. I am probably enabling right now, but if it goes the way it probably will, I am going to be fighting to keep my daughter. Part of this going above and beyond is so that I can be the better parent, because people before were right. I wasn't protecting my kiddos for her claiming I am sabotaging. I must have worded it wrong. When I clean up, she is mad because she was going to do it in a minute, even though it's been days. Those wondering about work, I am full-time. She works full-time now as a teacher, started back a few days ago. I had hoped she would stay home full-time to raise our daughter, as that's why I took this job. Don't love it, don't enjoy it, but it pays the bills and provides a good QOL, but it's what she says she needs. And for the people messaging me about using the word boot, I am from Arkansas, but there is this thing called a plane, and I have worked all over and have even enjoyed a TV show or two that wasn't Walker, Texas Ranger. I also call carts at the store's trolleys, partly to mess with people and partly because it entertains me, and mainly because it's become a habit. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. This is terrible and I am not sure why you are putting up with it. You picking up after her every day is not making her better. It is enabling her. Are you okay with your daughter living like this? What about her learning that it is okay to keep a house car messy so long as she finds a man to clean up after her? You are doing no one in that house any favors. Why are you even giving her the option to drive to CA? I would tell her you can't do it anymore and just fly. Period. End of story. You are treating her like a child who doesn't know how to clean up after themselves, not a wife. When it comes to the job promotion, would it pay enough for her to hire a nanny if you do divorce? Does your wife work? And could she support a child if she tries to get full custody? Your boss sounds great, and he may be willing to work with you if you do divorce, and you need a little flexibility. Her family saying she is happy means nothing. They aren't dealing with her daily and don't see how bad it is. If they give you a hard time, send them pictures of what you have to deal with each day. Reply, I don't know why I am giving the option of driving. She wants to, and I don't have the will to fight anymore. The only reason I am doing anything is because my kid deserves better, and she deserves a mother that loves her, and my wife does. I see the care and love for her. She works full-time as a teacher this year, so in theory, yes. The way she spends money, no, but the financials say yes. My boss thinks the whole thing is hilarious. I had a near breakdown in my office one day. He heard about it from coworkers who were worried, and he took me to lunch and beers. But he was crystal clear. If I sign the promotion contract, I am his for 2 years. Her family is great, in small doses. They are the ones that will tell you they love you as you drown. Mine are the ones who tell you to go yourself as they drive 1,500 miles to help you move. Has OOP tried to get his wife to help with cleaning up? Reply, I try to incorporate her. She usually is too tired or gets bored. My daughter loves the pickup game, so primarily it's the two of us. Obviously I don't make her, but she's stuck to my side from the moment I get home until she passes out. Commenter 2. I am a social worker and have dealt with families who have hoarding issues. When I read about the 2 dumpsters of stuff, I was blown away, not by the amount, but by the support you gave her and the success you had. It is so rare. Usually, there is an eviction, and the stuff is left for someone else to deal with. I don't see her getting over her need for control, have not met and could be wrong. I personally have never seen it. It's not about the stuff. It's about control, and usually due to trauma. She will have to dive into therapy for a long time, and it doesn't sound like that is something that she wants to do. I'm impressed by the success you have had. But I don't know how this will be healthy for you in the long run. You are doing a wonderful job, but you have to protect your sanity. Reply, I'll be honest, I don't know how I myself have issues, which I have never been able to solve in therapy. My first post was mainly because my wife told me every man was expected to do this, and I expected to get roasted, and I did, but not for what I thought, just like now, getting roasted by some for doing what I am doing for the wrong reasons, etc. These posts and replies have helped, and hurt. Helped in that I believe fully I am right in my beliefs, but hurt in that I can see I am not handling it completely the right way. I can't see the top, and I am honestly just trying to survive at this point. I tried taking a day off today to just sort things out, but wife saw me on Life 360 still at home, so she took a day off with an emergency sick kid and is coming home so I don't bang some hoe in our bed. I literally have nothing left. I don't know what to do. Stories number 19. I think I've gotten caught up in a situation involving lying to in court, and I don't know what to do. Quick background. My parents passed away several years ago in an accident. My mom's parents are the only living grandparents. My sister, brother, and I are their only grandchildren. This is a very long story, so I'll try to be as brief as possible. My grandparents are approaching 90, and both have recently started to be affected by Alzheimer's. My brother has been helping them for several years, especially after our parents died. My grandparents have always been very active, very healthy, very independent people, and I thought it was ridiculous that my brother would bring them meals, shovel their walkway, mow the lawn, help them to doctor's appointments, etc. because they were perfectly able to handle that themselves. Earlier this year, my grandparents were diagnosed with Alzheimer's. My brother was given medical and durable power of attorney, which was apparently how my grandparents set up their living trust. A few months after the diagnosis, my brother moved them into an assisted living home. My sister did some research and was getting very worried about everything. She explained that our brother now owned all of my grandparents' real estate properties and all their bank accounts and stocks and whatnot, and that our grandparents were now powerless, that our brother controlled everything. I was really upset and worried, especially when my brother started renting one of the real estate properties out. So my sister and I decided to try to contest things. She found a lawyer who came out to my grandparents' assisted living and met with them. We talked to him about how my brother was taking advantage of my grandparents and how he'd gotten them to sign over everything to him, etc. That lawyer called my sister back a few days later and said he wasn't going to represent us because there was no case, so my sister found a different lawyer and things are now in probate court. She has way more knowledge about this whole thing, so she's taken the lead on it. The new lawyer filed complaints with the probate court that my brother had taken advantage of my grandparents by fostering dependence when he was bringing them meals, doing yard work, and taking them to the doctor when they were able to do it themselves, and therefore putting himself in position to be put in charge of their money. My grandparents' money are being misused and or stolen. My brother is renting out the house at below market rates. He's trying to isolate my grandparents by taking control of all their affairs and moving them into a home. We are asking the court to remove my brother as power of attorney and as trustee of the living trust. Now here's my dilemma. The probate court ordered my brother to submit an accounting of my grandparents' finances, and he did. Our lawyer got a copy of it last week and said that everything is not only in order, but that my brother had improved some investments to bring in more money to the trust. Our lawyer also spent a little time going over some of the information in the trust. My grandparents updated their trust when my parents died to make my brother the first person in line to take over their affairs on incapacity or death. When my grandparents pass, all of their assets are to be divided equally among my brother, my sister, and me. Except any outstanding loans any of us still have with them would be deducted from that person's share. He said there's also a no contest clause in the trust, but that he needed to do more research on what that means. He said that there's no way the court will make any changes based on the accounting because it's, as he said, immaculate. However, if we have more information about my brother mistreating or isolating my grandparents, that we'll fight on that. Today my sister is telling me that she believes my brother has falsified the accounting that was done and that she's going to have proof of it and that will get my brother removed. She also plans to have the part in the trust removed about the outstanding loans being deducted and get legal guardianship over my grandparents. I'm starting to have second thoughts, and I'm not sure what to do here. If my brother falsified the accounting, what happens? If my sister comes up with proof, but I have a nagging suspicion that she's going to make something up and gives it to the court, can I get in trouble for being on her side? Short update. I'm getting my name the hell off this thing. My sister is so smooth talking. So damn smooth talking. I talked to her without saying anything about this post. She didn't give me any specifics about what kind of proof she can get or what exactly she thinks our brother is doing to screw over the finances or hurt our grandparents, but she talks in such a convincing manner that I was about ready to discount everything posted here. I asked her how she thought we should manage my grandparents' care after my brother was removed, and she said she thought we should move them back to their house and hire a cleaning lady off Craigslist to come out once a week so Grammy didn't have to worry about cleaning. Then I sucked it up and called my brother. He couldn't talk much since he needed to get his kids in bed soon, and he wasn't very friendly, which I think I deserve. I told him that I think I was being lied to and that our sister was acting shady. He agreed to answer my questions. I asked him why he'd moved them to such an expensive assisted living, and I guess some months back Grammy left a pot on the stove and left to go shopping. My brother stopped by while she was out and found the pot on the lit burner billowing smoke, burnt and ruined, and Grandpa was watching TV totally unaware of the smoke. And Gramps had taken the batteries out of the smoke detector last time Grammy burnt something, so the fucking house could have burnt down. He moved them out right after that. And whoever said my sister owes our grandparents a lot of money was right, according to my brother. Just over $500,000. I feel sick. But it's worse than that even. Okay, so Grandpa kept really thorough financial files, and he had signed loan agreements with whoever owed money, and he kept everything in a file cabinet. Yes, I also owe them some money for a car, but it's down to $4,000, and I've made every monthly payment. So after my brother got my grandparents moved into assisted living, he went to gather all the financial documents so he could get everything in order, and he found that all the loan agreements my sister had signed were missing from her file. Suspects she took them so there'd be no record of what she owes. Apparently Grandpa kept photocopies of the important stuff, including loan agreements and a payment ledger book in a fire safe, as backup, so my brother has proof of what everyone owes. Feel sick? I don't know what to do. This is a nightmare. I'm going to call the lawyer tomorrow and find out how to get removed from this mess. Relevant comments. Commenter. 1. Going devil's advocate here. Your brother, sensing the signs of your grandparents' dementia before they were diagnosed with Alzheimer's, started helping them with chores, etc., while you and your sister did nothing. Then, after they were diagnosed, he moved them into assisted living, which from experience is not cheap. We sold my mother's home to pay for her assisted living. The money went fast, as she noted many left that place for nursing homes, not because their health worsened, but that they ran out of money. You don't say that your brother is keeping you and your sister from them. Just you are upset he is spending down their assets to keep them safe, healthy and happy in their end years. Not satisfied, you and your sister found a lawyer to give you the answers you want to hear so you can blow what remains of your grandparents' assets on a lawyer and court, dooming them to a nursing home earlier than their money would have otherwise allowed. Not sure if there are any loans, though I suspect you or your sister owe your grandparents some money, but it sounds as if any money left over will be split evenly among the three of you. No contest clause means anyone who contests the will, and the will is found valid, gets nothing, of course. If the will is found to be invalid, the will goes away and the laws of intestate apply. You show no evidence your grandparents are being mistreated or isolated, there is a false accounting, or that your brother is stealing their money. Instead, I see two grandchildren upset that their brother is doing the right thing by your grandparents and making sure their final years are good, even if that means spending down their assets, which would happen anyway if they went to a nursing home. Is there anything I have missed or misinterpreted? If not, I don't see a legal issue, but I do see two greedy heirs worried that their money is being spent by those who have the money or their POA for them before they can inherit. If that is the case, I will keep my opinion of you and your sisters, character mostly to myself. From personal experience, though you and your sister may not like it, your brother sounds as if he is doing everything possible to make your grandparents' final years as good as they can be. That is not cheap. Instead of worrying about your inheritance, you and your sister should be asking yourselves what you will do if your grandparents outlive their money. Keep paying for assisted living out of your pockets, or dump them in a nursing home and let your brother deal with it. Redditor 1. This is the part of OP's post that really struck me as WTF? My grandparents are approaching 90, and both have recently started to be affected by Alzheimer's. My brother has been helping them for several years, especially after our parents died. My grandparents have always been very active, very healthy, very independent people, and I thought it was ridiculous that my brother would bring them meals, shovel their walkway, mow the lawn, help them to doctor's appointments, etc., because they were perfectly able to handle that themselves. Commenter 2. Are you saying that you think that your 90-plus-year-old grandmother/grandfather should be out shoveling their driveway themselves? That is absurd. Somebody that age is liable to have a heart attack from the exertion. A shovel full of snow can be very heavy. If your grandfather injured himself by slipping on ice and falling, there is a very real possibility of him never walking again. Broken bones in the elderly, especially a broken hip, often cause serious complications, including death. Hypothermia is another issue. If Grandpa is outside shoveling and sits down for a little break and falls asleep, entirely possible, he better hope somebody notices him quickly. Even if he doesn't die, he could easily lose one or more fingers or toes, or even an arm or leg. The elderly often have other health issues like nerve damage, e.g., from diabetes, low blood pressure, circulation problems, breathing problems, e.g., COPD, from smoking, asthma, etc. My parents are much younger than your grandparents, and I no longer live with them, but I often help them out by making them dinner or doing chores around their house. They are 100% capable of doing those things for themselves, but I help out because it's my way of thanking them for everything they did for me growing up. I'm certainly not trying to manipulate them into changing their will to benefit me. The older they get, the more I will help them. It's normal and okay to help care for a family member as they get older. Are you suggesting that your grandparents should be left to fend for themselves? Relevant comments. Redditor 2. Why is your sister so dead set on disrupting your brother? What proof would she have that he lied? Was the accounting verified by an auditor? He would have really had to falsify many different records for this to be the case. You really should find out from your sister why she suspects your brother is lying. It sounds to me like your sister feels shafted during this whole incident while your brother was attempting to help your grandparents as they slowed down. If they're 90 and have developed Alzheimer's, it is not unreasonable for them to begin to need help around the house, nor for them to be moved into an assisted living home. Reply: I don't know if the accounting was verified by an auditor. My brother's lawyer turned it into the court, and I believe the court sent a copy of it to our lawyer. The accounting was done by a CPA. Oh, another thing my sister wants to fight is that my brother's lawyer is being paid for by my grandparents' trust. His fees are right there in the accounting, and meanwhile my sister and I have to pay for our lawyer ourselves. Right now I'm not totally sure why she's so convinced that our brother is falsifying things. She says she 100% knows our brother is lying and that it's not right that he's using my grandparents' money the way he is. I agree with her that they don't need to be in a home because their Alzheimer's isn't bad. They could be staying at home. Instead of spending nearly $10,000 per month to stay in assisted living, Grammy can still cook and tidy up, neither of them wander off, they still know who they are and who we are, etc. And Grammy doesn't like it there. It makes me wonder if he's misusing money in other ways. I don't know. On one hand, I can see my sister's point that maybe my brother is doing stuff wrong, but on the other hand, I just have this suspicion that she's making some stuff up. For example, she insisted that the house my brother is renting out was being rented out at way below market value, but our lawyer said it's not. Redditor 2. If the accounting was done by a CPA, then your sister should stop right there. CPAs usually aren't all about being complicit in fraud and potentially losing their licensing, nor facing criminal charges by turning it into a court of law. I doubt there is anything wrong with the finances. If the POA entrusted your brother to make these decisions on their behalf, then your sister has no grounds to fight that the legal fees are being paid out of the trust. If you want to attempt to go after your brother for neglect by putting them in a safer environment, that is your and your sister's decision. It sounds like he is being proactive in this case and attempting to make their lives easier. Just because they can cook and tidy up doesn't mean one day one of them, God forbid, won't fall or accidentally hit someone while they're driving. Alzheimer's is a progressive disease, and you won't know the day that you'll find your grandmother has wandered off, even if she was fine weeks before. Redditor 3. Your sister is more worried about the money she is not going to get when your grandparents die. Your brother is spending their money to care for them and is doing everything to help them. I hope the no contest clause disinherits your sister. The real question is, why are you going along with this? Is your brother an evil mastermind, or are you both being greedy? Your own story makes you and your sister look like assholes. Reply: what exactly does the no contest clause mean? Our lawyer didn't know the details and said he needed to research it more. Redditor 4. Generally, it means that if you contest the will, you forfeit the right to your inheritance, if the will is held to be enforceable. What it exactly means depends on the wording, which is probably what your lawyer needed to look into. Redditor 5. If, and I say if, the brother has not in fact stolen all the grandparents' property, real estate, money, whatever else, and put it into his own name, but has instead set up a trust which will handle everything and then distribute it fairly to all three of you upon death, then what's the problem? Reply: well, my father didn't set up a trust. My grandparents had a living trust made probably 20 years ago now to hold all their real estate and stocks and stuff. My brother was just named as the person who would take it over when they die or are incapacitated. Well, it was our mom originally, but when she died they changed it to my brother. The thing is, my brother controls everything. He has a credit card in his name on their account. The checks he writes say brother's name, X family trust. He decided to move them into an expensive assisted living, and now he's paying his lawyer from my grandparents' accounts. I don't know who to believe or what's the right thing. Some of what my sister is doing seems shady. Some of what my brother is doing seems shady. Redditor 4. He has a credit card in his name on their account. The checks he writes say, brother's name, ex-family trust. It's probably the best way to pay for their care. He decided to move them into an expensive assisted living. Does your brother have a job life? He probably wants to have a life on his own and not spend all his time having to worry about what's happening with them when he's at work. Out. Unless he's somehow profiting from putting them in that home, he's actually decreasing the amount of money all three of you receive in the end. He's paying his lawyer from my grandparents' accounts. That's fairly normal. Why should he need to pay for a lawyer himself to defend a decision your grandparents made? He's not defending himself. He's defending the trust. Redditor 4. In response to Redditor 5, probably the sister has a fairly large chunk of debt with the grandparents that she wants out of the way to get a bigger inheritance. Reply, I was wondering that, actually. They gave her loans for her house and 2 cars, but I have no idea how much she still owes them, if anything. I know she did borrow a lot because they're nice cars, and she lives in a big house in a good neighborhood. She claims she paid them back around Christmas in a lump sum, but she doesn't make a ton of money, so I don't know. Redditor 4. Did you ask your bother how much she owes? I mean, when my grandparents pass, all of their assets are to be divided equally among my brother, my sister, and me. Except any outstanding loans any of us still have with them would be deducted from that person's share. Sounds very fair and reasonable to me. Reply, my brother and I weren't on great terms before this, and now it's even worse, so I haven't asked him. God, I'm getting pretty angry reading everyone's comments, and I think I need to make some calls. There's a pre-trial hearing this week. Do I have time to take my name off this court thing if you guys are right? Reply, you were very correct. I updated the OP with more info. Redditor 4, thank you for the update. At least you found out before it got worse. I'm sorry about your G-parents and your sister. Update. First, I'd like to thank everyone here and for your input, suggestions, and the harsh words that it turns out I needed last fall. A few people commented that I sounded young, and that's pretty true. My brother and sister are much older than me, and my parents had me later in life. Mom used to say I was her favorite surprise. So, yeah, I'm just getting started in college and don't have much real-world experience, which isn't an excuse for how I acted. But it is what it is, and I'm trying to be better. I took a humanities class that covers aging this semester because of this whole situation with my grandparents, and I learned so much. I really enjoyed it too. I'm thinking about changing my major, so I can go into a field that helps protect the elderly, like maybe social work. So, I told our lawyer back in November that I wanted nothing to do with the court case anymore, and gave him a general outline of why I'd come to believe that my sister wasn't being totally honest. He filed stuff to show I was withdrawing my name from the case, and then he fired my sister as a client. She dismissed? I think this is the right term, her case, since she no longer had a lawyer, and after some soul-searching and a couple visits with a counselor at school, I told her not to contact me again and blocked her. My brother was willing to forgive me for some reason. I'm grateful for it, but I was a real jackass until I posted here about my grandparents' situation. He keeps me in the loop, which is how I know how the last almost 5 months have played out. My brother's attorney for the trust started getting emails from my sister's new lawyer. This would be the 3rd one she's used about her complaints over my grandparents' estate later in the fall. She was claiming to lawyer 3 that my brother was hiding bank accounts, money, that he was letting the trust's real estate properties go to junk and not taking care of them, that he didn't have insurance on the properties, he was letting people live there for free, and a bunch of other stuff that I could see was completely not true. She also started telling my grandparents these lies which upset them, and being confused, they believed her for a bit and were just awful to my brother and me. Lawyer 3 was sending demanding emails to my brother's lawyer for him to show proof that the houses are in good shape, insured, not being misused, on and on and on. After a couple months of this, my brother's lawyer got an email directly from my sister where she listed demands such as, my brother must let her take inventory of all my grandparents' possessions and take some keepsakes for herself, that any renters had to be evicted immediately, that he had to put all the real estate up for sale within 30 days, and other things that my brother's lawyer explained that he absolutely did not have to do. And if these things didn't happen within 30 days, she would be forced to pursue further legal action. And she CC'd her lawyer on this email. Well, my brother's lawyer got a call that same day from lawyer number 3 saying he had nothing to do with that email and wasn't consulted. That was the last we heard anything from lawyer number 3. And all was quiet for a few months. And that brings me to the current situation. My brother's lawyer recently forwarded him copies of emails with, drum roll please, my sister's new lawyer, Lawyer Schrafor. This lawyer is from a firm that does local ads like, got a DUI? Charged with a crime? We can help. I don't know why they're taking on a probate situation, but it looks like they are. And really, it's the same stupid claims she made with lawyer. A 3 and my brother's lawyer has already gone over with him exactly what he's supposed to be doing as the trustee, so he knows he doesn't have to do any of the stuff she's saying. It's just, this is getting very hard on my brother. He's just so tired of it all. What I want to know is, I guess not so much about what legal steps he should be taking, because his lawyer has that covered, but maybe some advice from you guys, since you've been dealing with all types of people in court. Why is she doing this? I mean, she apparently wants to be the trustee, but my brother's lawyer said that probate court would never give it to her, since my brother has shown that he's managing everything exactly right. So why does she continue? Is there anything we can do to get her to stop? My brother's lawyer said he's seen people act like this for years, but he didn't have any advice on anything we could do to get her to back off since she isn't breaking any laws. I would appreciate any advice or suggestions anyone has. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. That's great OP that you're on the side of your stand-up brother. I appreciate your candor, honesty about your own actions as well. Depending on how much of a nuisance your sister's actions are to your brother, he may be able to file a lawsuit against her for the time and financial cost she's cost him and his lawyer in frivolous legal actions. This course is time-consuming and costly unto itself. He sounds like he's already incredibly busy father with young kids and overseeing your grandparents' health. Have you tried approaching your sister to ask her to stop? It's the least you could do, seeing as what your brother has done for your grandparents and the grace he's shown you. Reply, he may be able to file a lawsuit against her for the time and financial cost she's cost him and his lawyer in frivolous legal actions. Well, my brother's lawyer is the lawyer for the trust, and is paid from the trust, so it isn't costing my brother any money directly. Just time in dealing with all this crap. Can the trust sue if he wanted to go that route? Have you tried approaching your sister to ask her to stop? I did try that a few months ago and got a lovely "go f yourself" as a response. Commenter 2. Yes. Your brother as the trustee can sue her for lost time and legal fees if he can clearly prove her actions have been frivolous. Reply. All right. I know the last thing he wants to do is to cost the trust any more money, so he probably won't want to go that route, but I'll bring it up as an option. Thank you. Redditor 6. Your grandparents' estate has been paying for your brother's lawyers. Is there any way she can be forced to pay that back and stop filing suits? Is this frivolous on her part? Redditor 7. In the OP it was mentioned there was a no contest clause. Hopefully this kicks in and the sister gets nothing. Reply. I actually talked to my brother about the no contest clause when our sister started up with lawyer number 3. The way his lawyer explained it is that since she isn't actually filing or contesting any of this current stuff in court, that it would be very difficult to make the no contest clause stick. This is all her having her lawyer of the week send demanding emails to the trust lawyer. She'd need to file an aggressive, this isn't the word he used but I can't remember exactly what it was, action in probate court against the trust, and at that point it would probably kick in. Final update. So, right near 5 years have passed since my update on my sister doing her best to manipulate her way into getting her hands on our grandparents' substantial assets. This is the final update, because both grandparents have passed, and my brother filed the final tax return for the trust last month, which was the last thing needed to settle it. Here's what happened. Gramps suffered a stroke several months after my last update, because it happened at an assisted living facility. Just down the street from a major hospital, he was able to initially survive. My brother felt it was only right to inform our sister I didn't agree. She took his call, thanked him for calling, and never came to the hospital. My brother and I sat in the ICU in shifts for days with Gramps. Gramps held on for several months, was even able to return to live with his wife, but he was obviously not the same, and pneumonia took him in the end. His death pretty much sent Grammy over the edge. Her Alzheimer's progressed quickly after she lost Gramps and needed to be moved to the memory unit. Grammy held on for years. Pneumonia took her the summer before the pandemic. My sister never visited our grandparents after my last update. She didn't give up on her quest to be a terrible person, though. Lawyer 4 lasted over 3 years. They settled into a rhythm of sending frequent demand emails to the trust's lawyer for copies of checks, proof that estate properties were insured, trust bank records, anything they were technically entitled to review, due to my sister being a beneficiary. Anytime a property had a necessary repair, i.e. plumbing issue causing sewage to leak in a house, my sister would have her lawyer demand copies of everything, insist on getting multiple quotes for time-sensitive work, anything, to drag the process out. Every year when my brother would submit the trust accounting, weeks of work would follow due to her demanding clarification on every medical bill, or questioning why Grammy needed $100 worth of clothing from Target, or whatever random tidbit she'd latch onto, all one at a time, dragging everything out. She also discovered that she could file complaints in probate court. The judge would send the complaints to mediation. My brother wouldn't agree to anything in mediation, and my sister would have her lawyer withdraw the filing. This happened multiple times. The trust's legal costs were staggering as a result of all of this. When Grammy passed, the trust's law firm submitted an equitable distribution proposal to my sister's lawyer, including her outstanding debts, which she never attempted to repay to the trust, and which she continued to deny in spite of the documentation my brother had. My brother even offered to reduce the amount she owed if she wanted to take one of the real estate properties she'd previously expressed interest in, so he wouldn't have to deal with selling it. She refused the proposal if any of her debts were included. There was some back and forth for a couple months, then she went quiet for a bit. Then came lawyer 5. The trust's lawyer assumed, probably correctly, that lawyer number 4 realized his easy payday of sending nasty emails and filing motions that would go nowhere was over and stopped representing her. So she got a new guy, and my brother had to start the whole process over. This new lawyer came to the table with only my sister's version of the story, including some new embellishments about my brother hiding my grandparents from her, and never knowing where they were, their health status, if they were even alive. The new lawyer really latched on to that part. The trust's lawyer had told my brother early on to shoot them an email with any updates or changes to my grandparents' location, such as hospitalizations or ER trips or transfers to different assisted living accommodations, and he always did so. The lawyer who took the lead on the handling the trust said it was hilariously satisfying to provide copies of my brother's emails to her, and her subsequent emails to whichever lawyer my sister was on with, said updates to lawyer 5. He suddenly had a more pleasant demeanor. This is already long, so I'll simplify the next several months, late 2019 to early 2020. Sister at first refused distribution proposal. Trust lawyer simply submitted the proposal to probate court for them to approve. Sister was suddenly fine with accepting the proposal. She asked for cash distribution less her debts, no property in kind. Brother takes the rental property in kind. Asks if I had interest in the vacation property our sister had previously wanted, but no longer did. I have good memories there. Decide to accept the offer so I can visit the property, and so my brother can still use it. Everyone signs the distribution agreements, papers are filed in court, and it's done. My brother sells the remaining real estate property, a townhome my grandparents lived in before entering assisted living, and cuts checks for the cash distribution, and we haven't heard a word from our sister since. Not in any form. She deposited her check immediately, and that was that. It's so anticlimactic after all the hassle she caused over the last 5 years. The only thing she accomplished with these years of greed was to cost the trust something like $600,000 in legal and related fees. That's money that would have been split among the 3 of us. She cost herself over $200,000 for nothing. She didn't even take the vacation property she had claimed to want so badly. Despite everything, my brother offered it to her first because it apparently held so much sentimental value. Apparently, once she saw the appraisal on it from 2019, it wasn't that sentimental to her. It appraised at $90,000. It's not some fancy resort property or something, just a small vacation home in a pretty area. I guess it's a happy enough resolution, all things considered. I was able to pay off my small amount of student debt from undergrad, and I'll be able to pay for grad school. I elected to take a year off to work in a nonprofit and then, pandemic, with a little nest egg. I have a cute vacation house that's now suddenly worth a whole lot more, but I'm not counting on its valuation staying where it is. My brother and I just use it for its intended purpose. My brother elected to take the rental property as part of his share, and after all the crap he's had to deal with, he definitely deserves the rental income. I helped him where I could in all this mess, and I attended the mediation meetings with him to speak on behalf of the trust. But he did the hard work. My brother and I are cool. We're friends even. He forgave me for being an utter ass all those years ago, and I get to be the cool uncle now. I'm not even sure if any of the same posters are still active in this sub, but if you were around then, thanks for the brutal honesty and for explaining it. What was going on before I made any terrible mistakes? Relevant comments. Commenter. 1. She cost them $600K and still got to walk away with some cash and her debt cleared. All for nothing. Some people just really need their asses kicked. Redditor 8. I'm so fascinated by the sister. I need to know more about her. Like, has she always been this narcissistic and manipulative? Has she ever cared about the grandparents? Did she truly, in her heart, believe that her method would be effective? What even was her ultimate goal? Clearly it was not to make money, and I can't imagine she'd be the type to actually want to take care of her grandparents and manage their finances. If she did take control, does she treat other people in her life this way? Friends? Spouse? Children? When you're 5 lawyers deep and neither your siblings nor grandparents are speaking to you, at what point do you realize you're the common denominator? Redditor 9. I was wondering about her too. Like, how did she possibly get OP to believe that bringing dinners and shoveling walks and helping out 90-year-old grandparents was a bad thing that fostered dependence? How independent do you expect elderly people to have to be? And how on earth does doing nice things like that for people make them dependent? She somehow twisted her brother's years of selfless service into something manipulative and evil. Maybe it's because if she does anything nice, it's always an expectation of gaining something. It's just amazing that she got OP to go along with her based on this reasoning for as long as he did. I'm glad he saw the light before it was too late. Redditor 10. It looks like he was very young and naive at the start. Redditor 11. Young and naive, as others have confirmed, but also orphaned. He doesn't say who was his guardian once his parents died. Maybe it was his sister, and maybe it was someone else. But I have to imagine losing your parents so young blinds you to the faults in your surviving relatives, and makes you easy prey for one of them to manipulate you. Glad this had a happy ending not only for the trust proceeds, but for LAOP's relationship with his brother. Sounds like LAOP is still beating himself up a little for his initial reaction, and I hope he grants himself the same forgiveness that his older brother has clearly already granted him. Reply, LAOP here. My sister was my guardian from age 15 when our parents died until I turned 18. It didn't seem like she was this awful at the time. She was all right. She was never overtly mean or manipulative. I had what I needed. We mostly left each other alone. Fortunately, my parents set up a college fund for me, so between that and some scholarships, I was able to get through undergrad in the dorms with just a small amount of debt. I didn't have to deal with going back to live with her after everything blew up. It's kinda hard not to still feel bad about it, even if I didn't fully understand the situation at the time. I'm trying though. Redditor 11. I wonder if the Netflix movie I Care a Lot triggered his interest in telling his story. That movie pissed me the hell off. Reply, it didn't. My brother told me last week that the trust's tax return was processed, might have the terminology wrong, but he got the all clear from the lawyer and that the estate could finally be closed. When I had some time, I hopped on this account to post an update in case anyone was interested in a resolution. I can't bring myself to watch that movie. I would not enjoy it. Stories. Number 20. Thief doesn't want to be called a thief because she feels offended by it. The other night, my girlfriend went out to a bar with friends, and some friends of friends. At some point she forgot her cell phone on the bathroom and didn't miss it at all. It's something she would do sober, since she is easily distracted, but the fact she was tipsy will be relevant later. It happens that one of the girls of the group she was with found it. I'll call her the thief, and later bragged about it to one of her friends, saying she would keep it. The friend told her it was easy to find the owner so she shouldn't just keep it, then recognized it as my girlfriend's phone, and once again told her to return it. They argued about it, the friend took the phone, the thief got physically aggressive. At the end the friend returned it to my girlfriend, who was unaware of the fight until later. Now the thief is dissing on Instagram, complaining of being called a thief, that she had the right of keeping the phone since she found it, calling friend and my girlfriend nasty names, that my girlfriend is a dumb bee for getting drunk, so didn't deserve her phone back. Thief believes she deserve apologies. My girlfriend and I are just laughing at it, and happy she have her phone, while thief is losing her mind on social media. Edit. Just because I think is relevant based on comments. Thief is one of the friends of friends in a public space. My girlfriend barely know her, and I don't at all. They saw each other just a few times while different groups hang out at the same bar. The friend is the one who really knows the thief. That being said, we don't need to cut anyone, which is nice. And I laughing at some of you correcting my misspelling because I don't write or speak perfectly on my own first language. I won't put extra attention to do that in this forsaken one that's English. Comments. Commenter. 1. I'm not a thief because finders keepers? Really? Commenter 2. That is so ridiculous. Did you get it back? OP, you guys just keep laughing. Literally everyone who reads her psycho rants will easily be able to tell she's the one in the wrong. Finders keepers is for kindergartners 2 decades ago. Reply, the funniest part is she bragging about intending to keep it, like people will side with her. Is another level of delusional for me. Commenter 3. You should always refer to her as thief and never by her name from now on. Reply, that's funny because I don't even know her name. My girlfriend didn't tell me and I didn't ask. Stories number 21 AITA for not allowing my mother-in-law to move in. My husband 24M came to me 22F last night asking if his mother could move in. I was confused because she told me about a week ago she was getting keys to an apartment soon. Melo currently lives with his brother Caleb 27M and his wife Tanya 26F. She's lived with him for about 6 months, but decided she wants to move out due to a disagreement she had with Tanya. Tanya and Caleb have a son who was born 4 months premature. He's now thriving and hitting milestones. Mill babysits for them while they work and was feeding him mashed potatoes, chicken, rice, and many different fruits and vegetables behind their back. They had not introduced him to anything other than formula yet, so there was a huge fight between Mill and Tanya. And now Mill wants to move out fine. The issue comes in with my husband asking, can she move in with us? The issue with this is we have 2 children, 4 months F and 2 YOM, and are in a small 2-bedroom apartment. If she were to move in with us, our kids wouldn't have a room. My husband sees no issue with this as the baby sleeps with us anyways, but that's really not the point. I just bought a new bed and many other things for their room along with all of their belongings being in there. If she moved in, I would have to get a storage unit for most of their things, and their clothes would have to come in our room. Me and my husband had a disagreement about this because I don't want her to move in due to these things, and if she did, it would be permanent. She will not want to move out. She initially moved in with Caleb because she could barely afford the apartment she had. It was $19.75 a month plus utilities. My husband says I'm being selfish and inconsiderate as his mother needs somewhere to leave, and it's just be temporary till she can afford to move somewhere else. But I know that won't happen. She's not the most responsible person with her dollars. For context, she has a $40,000 vehicle that she makes payments on. The car payments alone are close to $2,000 a month, not including insurance and gas. Not only that she's constantly ordering things and buying clothes, designer bags, and other things that she cannot afford. She gives $100 to her church every week. Not that giving back to your church is a bad thing, but when you can barely afford it, it's simply not reasonable. She goes on trips every few months. All of this, and the only income she has is Uber. So my question to him is, where is the extra dollars that she'll be saving for another apartment? He doesn't see my point, but I don't feel I'm wrong. He's not speaking to me at the moment, so I guess I just really need to know Aita for not wanting to let his mother move in with us. Stories number 22 a.m. I overreacting for telling my wife I don't want her going on a multi-day trip with a male co-worker. My wife and I have been married for 4 years, and we've known each other for 10 years. We met in college and have followed each other around ever since. We were pregnant with our first child and he ended up being stillborn at 38 weeks. This happened 10 weeks ago. There is a male co-worker that she works with that has a very rough home life. Wife is a drunk with no job and doesn't take care of the kids. He and her are very good friends. They communicate constantly every day. This male co-worker's father collects rare coins and has his son, the co-worker, take trips to collect them. The male co-worker asked my wife if she would go with him on a multi-day trip to pick up these coins and bring them back. I reluctantly agreed that she could go because she talked about going somewhere where she's not reminded of her loss. We have both been struggling mentally since our loss. Me specifically with depression and anxiousness, middle-of-the-night panic attacks, her specifically with depression. Originally the plan was to use his vehicle to drive there, but an oil change revealed other mechanical problems with the vehicle. We recently bought a new vehicle for her since her old vehicle had almost 200,000 miles and a check engine light. I reluctantly said that she could take this new vehicle on the trip that would total almost 1,000 miles. She asked me the other day before she was going to leave how I was feeling, and I said that I'd rather you not go on this trip. This caused a back-and-forth cry fest. She left on this trip yesterday and I haven't really heard from her since. I've never suspected her of adultery in the past, but recently my anxiousness has been off the charts. Am I overreacting for making her feel bad about going? Stories number 23. I am worried my marriage is imploding. I have never felt so tense in my life, and I am so confused on what to do. My husband, 32M, and I, 29F, have been together for 7 years and married for almost one, like our wedding anniversary is 2 weeks away. A few months ago he said he wanted to buy this 80K sports car. I said now is not the time since we are a few months away from starting a family, and I wanted to save money for that, and maybe one day a larger house for our family. He agreed to put in on a back burner, I thought. Then a couple weeks later he said we should take out a line of credit from our mortgage, so that if we did need it, we would have it, and if we didn't use it, we could just give the money back. I am sure you know where this is going, but he used it to buy the car. In a couple weeks he is going on a day trip to another province to go see the car and sign the paperwork. I asked to come because I love a little trip, and maybe I could get a positive experience out of going and spending time with him. He chose a weekend that I am working the night shift on. And if you work shift work, you must know that the Saturday night shift is the hardest to get off last minute or get a switch for. So I of course cannot go. When my mother-in-law found out about this, she swooped right in to join him. In the past my MIL has attempted to break us up, and I feel like she wants a front row seat to the demise of our marriage and wants it to fail. I cannot tell if I am paranoid or if I am right to be upset. My husband says he is of course going to be close with his mom since he is an only child and has gone no contact with his father. I am so worried this is the beginning of the end of our marriage. We love each other, but it is concerning to me how little he listens to me. In his defense, he is otherwise very smart with his money and barely spends, so maybe I should just be okay with this. I need an outside opinion. I just talked to my mom, and she validated my feelings and made me feel better. But then again, she is biased. Stories number 24. Dealt with a gross situation on my flight today, but the crew's support made all the difference. F-20s was on a packed flight today. I had the aisle, an older man sat in the middle, and another young woman was on the window. About 30 minutes in, he takes his shoes off, folds his legs up so his stinky feet are basically at lap level between us, and then just starts stroking and rubbing up his socked foot. Not like he had a cramp, not like he was massaging it, just repeatedly caressing it all weird. It wasn't discreet. It honestly felt like he wanted us to notice, which made it way creepier. I got the sense it might be some foot fetish thing, and being stuck next to him made me super uncomfortable. I got up with my bag and asked one of the attendants if I could move, explaining the situation a bit. She immediately found me an emergency exit seat, and throughout the flight multiple crew members checked in, apologized, and even helped me relocate my bag so I wouldn't have to go back to my old row after landing. I've dealt with awkward seatmates before, but this was the first time I felt like someone was deliberately crossing a line. I was so grateful the crew took it seriously without making me justify it. Just sharing as a reminder. If something feels off, you're allowed to speak up. And also, who thinks it's okay to rub their foot like that in the middle seat between two strangers? Nasty. Stories. Number 25 Aita for refusing to go to my boyfriend's sister's wedding because of how she treated me when I was unemployed. I 26F have been dating my boyfriend Dan 30M for 3 years. For the most part, things have been great between us. He's kind, supportive, and we live together in a rented apartment while saving for a house. Last year I got laid off due to budget cuts at my company. I work in marketing, and it took me a few months to land something new. During that time, I was unemployed, freelancing here and there, and being careful with money. Dan was incredibly supportive and reassured me constantly that we will be okay. The issue came from his sister Megan. I met her a few times before the layoff, and we got along all right, not besties, but polite. But during my unemployment, she completely changed her attitude towards me. She started making comments like, "Must be nice sit around all day while the rest of us work. So are even trying to find a job or just living off Dan? Dan's too nice, he needs someone more stable." She said these things in front of others, including Dan, who usually just brushed it off like that's just how Megan jokes. I asked him several times to talk to her about it, but he kept saying he didn't want to start drama. So I started pulling back from family events to avoid her. Anyway, I found a new job a few months later. Good pay, full-time, remote, all good news. Megan never acknowledged it or apologized. Fast forward to this summer. Megan is getting married in October and sent us invitation. Dan assumed we'd go, but I told him I wasn't comfortable attending. I said I don't want to sit through a day of someone who was cruel to me during a hard time and never showed any remorse. Dan thinks I'm being petty and says it's one day and for the sake of famey, can't you just let it go? He said it reflects poorly on him if I don't show up, and now Megan is telling everyone I'm self-centered to support family milestones. I told him he's free to go, but I'm not going. Now he's acting distant and says he's disappointed in me. So, AETA for refusing to go to my boyfriend's sister's wedding because of how she treated me while I was unemployed. Stories. Number 26 first. Family dinner with my partner. My mom staged a humiliating prank. Am I overreacting for feeling ambushed? I, 45, have been dating my partner, 55, for 3 months. My mom, 67, has been urging me to bring him to our usual Sunday dinners at her place, which normally include my sister, her partner, and my 2 children, 19 and 13. This relationship means a lot to me. Over the summer, while my kids were with their dad, we spent a lot of quality time together. We've both expressed deep feelings, and I haven't felt this way about anyone in a very long time. The last 10 years since my divorce have been full of games, disappointments, and even abuse, so finding someone like him feels different. My only real concern has been that he's never dated someone with children, so I was especially nervous for him to meet mine. As soon as we sat down for dinner, my mom's phone rang. It was my aunt, uncle, and cousin, all calling to speak to my partner and play what they called the dating game. Even though they'd never met him, they started asking him a series of ridiculous, nonsensical questions. My mom was clearly in on the prank. Everyone at the table, including my children, was horrified by how cringeworthy it was. I felt hot and dizzy with embarrassment and told my mom to end the call. She just kept laughing. My partner, thankfully, handled it all with incredible grace, answering their questions calmly and even with humor. I managed to pull myself together and get through the rest of the meal. Honestly, I have never been so humiliated in my life. I wanted so much to make a good impression, and I never expected my mom and her siblings to stage such a childish charade. I can't even imagine going back to her Sunday dinners anytime soon. And I know her, she'll almost certainly brush it off, insisting it was just a joke, and acting like I had no reason to feel ambushed or embarrassed. Am I overreacting? Edit. Thanks for the comments, supportive and not. I appreciate different perspectives. I wanted to add that this incident hit especially hard as my dad died of cancer 4 years ago. He would have never put up with this prank and kinda disliked this side of my mom's family. He would have liked my new partner, told him some jokes, then tried to bond with him by taking him out to the garage and showing him his 1960s muscle car. My dad's absence at dinner tonight felt especially painful. Stories number 27 AITH. For being upset that my roommate used my expensive steak without asking. So I, 24M, live with my roommate Jake, 26M, and we generally get along well. Yesterday I bought this really nice ribeye steak that cost me like $35. I was planning to cook it tonight for a date I have coming over. I come home from work today and find Jake in the kitchen with an empty steak package in the trash. I ask him about it and he's like, "Oh yeah, I was really hungry and didn't have anything good to eat, so I cooked that steak. It was amazing, by the way, thanks." I told him I was planning to use that for my date tonight, and now I'm scrambling to figure out dinner. He just shrugged and said, "You should have labeled it or something." But like, it was in a separate bag on the top shelf, clearly not communal food. He offered to Venmo me $10 for it since he has a bit of cash after betting on steak, but that doesn't even cover half what I paid. And more importantly, I can't exactly run to the store and get another good cut this last minute. I'm pretty annoyed, but he's acting like I'm overreacting. His argument is that we share most food anyway, so he didn't think it was a big deal. Aita. For being upset about this. Should I have been clearer about the steak being off limits? Stories number 28 AITJ. For leaving my friend at the restaurant after she kept making fun of my order. I, 24F, went to dinner with a group of friends. I have some dietary restrictions, so I ordered something plain grilled chicken, steamed veggies. One of my friends, 25F, started teasing me, saying I eat like a picky child, and making jokes all night about my sad little plate. At first I laughed it off, but she wouldn't stop. I asked her nicely to drop it, but she doubled down, even showing the waiter my plate and joking, "See? Isn't this pathetic?" I was embarrassed and angry. I told the group I'd had enough, paid my bill, and left early. Later she texted me saying I ruined the night over nothing, and that I'm too sensitive. Some friends agree, others say she crossed the line. So, AITJ for walking out of dinner because my friend mocked my food? Stories number 29. My mom made my sister the executor of her will, but I do everything for my mom. Now hello there, I am a 48YOF, and my dad passed away in 2016. Since that time I have done absolutely everything that my mom, 76YOF, has needed. I helped her sell my dad's truck. I helped her sell my dad's motorcycle. I have set up all of her finances electronically, and I go through all of her bills every week to make sure she is set. On top of that, I have taken time off work to help her with medical appointments, surgeries, and countless other needs. Recently I found out that she has made my sister the executor of her will. I am more than pissed off about it, and can't believe that she would actually do this to me. I am going to confront her about it at the right time, and let her know that I feel used, and that this isn't right. If she wants my sister to be the executor of her will, then wouldn't it make sense for my sister to be paying all of her bills? That's the true rub of it all. My sister has never done one kind thing for my mom. After my dad died, when my mom needed to sell my dad's truck, she called my sister, and my sister told her that she needed to handle it herself. My sister lives 2.5 miles away from my mother. I live 27 miles away. Guess who goes and sees her more often than the other person? If I know my mom, she will just try and poo-poo away my feelings and then ask me why it matters so much, because she is too fucking blind to see why. Thanks for listening. I hope that it goes well. Stories number 30 AIO about my BF not wiping his peen after using the toilet? Alright lads, I know this is going to sound completely mad given our age, but as the caption says, my 29F BF 30 still doesn't wipe his peen after going to the toilet. Worse yet, he sometimes can't be bothered to wash his hands either. I've brought it up with him, asked him to please just clean himself properly, and his response was that he just drip dries and only washes his hands sometimes. He even got in a huff with me once when I asked him to wash them. I told him straight, "How on earth do you expect me to go down on you if you can't even be fussed to wash? I won't do it unless he's cleaned himself first." And on another occasion, he actually got offended because I asked him not to touch me after using the toilet, purely because he hadn't washed his hands. Please, someone tell me I'm not being unreasonable here? Edit. LOL. Did not think this was going to be this out of hand, right? I'm not trying to make this guy wash his bits every time. I'm just genuinely baffled as to why wiping isn't even on the radar. Speaking about at home, not out in public. LOL. Appreciate the insight though.